Hi,
How
Derek. Hiya, how you doing?
Not too bad, everybody all right?
Yeah, good.
Hi there.
Thanks for joining us. If it's okay with you, I'll do a quick intro, and then we'll crack on with the interview. And at the end of it, the guys will probably have some questions for you, and feel free to open up or not, as the case may be. We know you're still at the club.
Any questions, ask away, not a problem.
Nice one. Okay. Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Derek Young on tonight's call. 253 games for Aberdeen, scoring 23 goals, a midfield and often a forward playmaker. Derek has a unique fact about him that he's the only player to have served under no less than all 8 managers since Roy Aitken took over after Willie Miller. So that's Roy Aitken, Alex Miller, Abby Skodal, Steve Patterson, Jimmy Calderwood, Mark McGee. 2 seconds. Right. I'm sorry, Derek.
That's all right.
I'll start back again here. So the only manager to have served under no less than 8 managers. So Roy Aitken, Alex Miller, Ebby Skodal, Steve Patterson, Jimmy Calderwood, Mark McGee, Craig Brown, and now latterly Derek McInnes as coach. He'll also be in a unique position when Stephen Glass comes in, that he will be the manager number 9, and of course he played with Stephen in his early years.
Yep.
He's also the only young brother to have 2 spells at Pittodrie, which I'm sure he's delighted about. And he's been with us since 1996. He is our man on the inside. Ladies and gents, it is Mr. Derek Young.
There's a bit of information there that I never knew. That's fantastic.
I see that. Eh? You can dig up with you.
You can dig out all sorts there.
I know.
Does that say more about how the club was run with that many managers, or how I was that I had that many managers?
It's a bit scary, really, is it? In that period of time, if you think about it, since '96,
that's madness.
We're now on our 9th manager, and still only 1 trophy during that time, which is even worse.
I must admit, it kills me. That's the one thing that kills me. Not managing to get a cup final, especially winning one. With Aberdeen, I don't know how many semi-finals I played in through 2 spells, but it was enough to annoy the life out of me anyway. And no doubt the supporters above there are exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you were Whitlawburn. Is that how you pronounce it? Is that where you're from? Yeah, Cambuslang.
Cambuslang, yeah.
So how did the opportunity come to sign for Aberdeen? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the penny pincher that Stuart Milne is, he said, I'll tell you what, if I buy 1 brother, I'll get 1 free. Is that what the deal was?
Aye, but it was the other way about. They were taking me, the Dan was free.
That's all right.
No, it's changed now with when we were younger. It was probably the same in yourselves. You played with your boys club all the way through your younger days and all the rest of it, and if you were good enough and lucky enough to get picked up with somebody, you went and trained with them during the week. So from probably, I'll tell you the story that got us into Aberdeen. The chief scout boy, Jimmy Carswell, he stayed in Cambuslang. My local team was Cathkin United Boys Club, and we used to play, which I now know, big ash red blaze pitches behind Jimmy Carswell's house. But as the story goes, Jimmy Carswell was meant to be going to a different game to watch some other kids, blah, blah, blah. And it was horrendous day, horrendous weather, and this game was meant to be in grass. And the game got called off before kick-off. So when he came back, he seen that there was a game on behind his house. So he wandered around, and we were playing, what can I say, sometimes good things come out of red blaze, you know what I mean? The game was on. We played the game, we won whatever, I don't know, but I was up front, I scored a lot of goals. I was a wee guy, really fast, doing well. Darren was in the middle of the park, he probably set up most of them as well. So after the game, he'd actually went up to the two dads who were managing the team, and introduced himself and says he was the Aberdeen scout. He says, I'm actually interested in 3 of the players there. And he's like, all right. And he's like, the boy up front, myself. He says, the boy in the middle of the park, which was my brother. And he says, and I like the other guy, I think he's playing on the right-hand side. Believe it or not, that was his son. So from that day forward, we started going to Aberdeen training once a week at Strathclyde Park. I think it was a Monday. But as, like I say, what I'm getting at there is, so that started with Aberdeen, but back then you kind of trained with everybody. It's not now like you've got the academies blocked off everywhere. So Aberdeen had a Glasgow set up. They had I think there was one in Dundee. So a pile of folk you would go to on a Monday night, and like I say that we were lucky we were getting to these places. But on a Monday night it kind of worked out for me. And I trained with Aberdeen on a Monday night. A Tuesday night I was out on the Astro at Ibrox with Rangers. A Wednesday I trained with Hearts. A Thursday trained with the boys club, maybe. A Friday was my night off. So then a Saturday morning, if you can imagine, maybe when you've got to high school as well, you played in the Saturday morning with your school, which is a riot, which is amazing, which the kids aren't allowed to do anymore because they're all locked in. They're all locked in at academies. And the academy can't put the foot down and say, no, we don't think you should, or they can't stop you. They're just kind of recommend and go, look, we're spending a lot of money on you, don't do it. So you can't really get away with that now. But we would play in the morning with your school. In the afternoon, you would play with your boys' club. So you can imagine quickly changed into the car, away to wherever else you were in the afternoon. And then on a Sunday, like I rhymed off Aberdeen, Rangers, Hearts. Sometimes it was at St Johnstone, sometimes other places. But one of these teams would maybe be playing, one of the professional teams would maybe be playing a game on a Sunday. So you would then get asked to join into that. But sometimes Aberdeen would be playing Rangers. So whoever was on the phone first was kind of, or whoever you had played with before. So that's how it worked.
It's a lot of games in a week.
It's a lot of games, and it's like I said, it's kind of just what you were used to. You never had mobile phones. You never had PlayStations to go on. I mean, it's PlayStation 2s and that came a bit later. All that stuff. So back then, your head was just full of playing football and getting on with life. Aye, more or less.
And when you went to Aberdeen, of course, it's probably a little known fact for some, but if anyone's seen Line of Duty, they might recognise a certain Mr. Compston, and he used to be in the youth team with you at Aberdeen.
What it was, he kind of done similar to me. Martin's, I think he's 3 or 4 years younger than me, but he done similar. What you done when you were younger? Let's say you trained, but 3 weeks a year, so it was like summer, October week and Easter. You would travel up to Aberdeen for a week and you would train at the club for a week until the time came that you get asked to go full time and all the rest of it. So he was doing that just as we were kind of around about the first team playing whatever. So I would see him when he came up.
Aye.
So he never actually played my team. He would maybe join in training because he would be like a wee group of what I used to be, the wee guys that came up, and there was maybe about 10, 15 of them from Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee. So kind of got to know him through that. I didn't know him amazingly well, you know what I mean? But what ended up happening was I hadn't seen him for ages. Noticed his face in Sweet 16, thought myself, I remember that face. And then it wasn't until a couple of years after it, I actually seen him on holiday. He came right over and spoke to him for ages again. So
was he
kind of know him.
Police uniform?
But that was before. This was before he's major famous now. You know what I mean? I think he was just famous in the Glasgow nightclubs back then.
Is he any good a footballer?
He was all right, but he's been away from it for a long time now. You know what I mean? I think you still see him joining in celebrity games, and he looks no bad. You know what I mean? There's definitely better than half the celebrities that are banging about there. But no, he's a really, really nice guy. Obviously, he's a die-hard Celtic fan, but we'll
Yeah, we'll ignore that.
We'll put that to the side. He's a nice guy and he's doing well for himself. Yeah.
There was a lot of young guys that came through the ranks during your time in the youth team. Is it fair to say that Andy Considine, Russell Anderson, Darren Mackey are probably the ones that stood the course during that youth era? There was a lot of guys who were making the breakthrough, but they didn't seem to last the course. It was almost resembling Fergie's youngsters at some point, at Man U. Why do you think it never really kicked on because there was a huge amount of talent at one point in Aberdeen?
Well, the team you've just mentioned there, my youth team, we won the youth league 2 years in a row. So it showed you enough. There was enough talent there. And then we had big Ryan Essen in the goals, Michael Hart at right back, Chris Clark was playing in either wing or getting round about. I was either up front, wide left, wide right, midfield, sitting in a number 10 role, depending how the manager was feeling on a Saturday morning. Dan was obviously in and about it as well. Big Russell was at the back. So there was a lot of young bodies there. And I think at the time when we broke through, the kind of first year when we kind of got there, I think we ended up finishing third or fourth, if I'm right. And I think we got ourselves into Europe. And what ended up happening was a lot of the boys left. We had Robbie Winters was there. Robbie left, but Robbie was great for keeping everybody together. He was a very good player. Derek White left as well. And there was a couple of others more senior that kept everybody, not so much in the straight and narrows as if the boys were off the wagon, but you know what I mean? There was the older guys there.
Aye.
So then what came through that was you get, and I'm not slagging foreign players by any means, but you get the foreign players coming into, then that was they were out and these guys were coming in, so it wasn't similar, you know what I mean? These guys are trying to get used to things. I think we were trying to get used to a new manager as well. As you said, there was a pile of managers. So you kind of went from being able to just go out and express yourself to it was kind of on news now to be the mainstay. And that's fine and all the rest of it, but I think that's how I feel it kind of went. As you get older, you kind of think about it a bit more, and you kind of do think yourself, we did have a really, really, really good team there that could have, if it was handled better or from above, it could have done very well for us. We definitely got a good few players at it anyway. But like I said, definitely could have kicked on to being a hell of a lot better.
It was around about the time of the Bosman ruling as well, wasn't it? So there was a huge influx of foreigners coming into the country, and that made it obviously difficult for a lot of homegrown players because you all of a sudden you could have someone that was in the World Cup just a couple of months earlier turning up at your door.
Yeah, that was it. You had them. You had the boys come in, and they were fine. You had Kyriakov and Zanko, Svetanov, couple of fruitcakes by the way. Kyriakov, oh my god, absolute madness.
Aye. I've got a little bit on him actually. I mean, I sort of heard that he used to come in at half time and have a cigarette, and
yep, it's true.
And he wouldn't always show up at training, but he got away with it because he was this hero. Well, and, it's scary to think about it.
And the thing was, it was to them it was nothing. Do you know what I mean? I think they were just kind of used to that, especially with the smoking thing. You can imagine us as young boys just going, "What the hell's happening here?" And how's he getting away with it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I say. It wasn't as if he was wandering about the actual changing room. He would like disappear through into the back of the showers and quickly have a cigarette at 800 mile an hour, and then just bin it and then come in.
He was. I think he
stink the place.
He was about 10 years older than everyone assumed he was as well.
I think there was a passport check there. You're right.
Aye, there was something not right. You played a couple of seasons with our new manager, Stephen Glass. What are your memories from him both as a player? Could you ever see potential in him as a manager? And that leads me on to, what do you expect that we as fans are likely to see from Stephen?
Well, with Stevie's we've always been quite, myself and Dan, and believe it or not, the families are quite close, because when Stevie was in the first team, I think he was 19 or something, 20, and Dan broke into the first team when he was 17. And when I moved up, I was 16. But so we were all still kind of young in age. But Steve had been in the first team for a good wee while. So his mum and dad were there all the time. And his partner, Carla, her mum and dad used to come to the football. So they actually kind of looked after my mum and dad and showed them the ropes, to say the least. So we're actually still quite close. I've not seen Stevie or spoke to him for a hell of a long time. I actually caught him, must have been last year. I think he was over in Aberdeen, a family thing, but he'd actually popped into the training ground to see the manager. And he must have been asking about how Hernandez was getting on.
You sure he wasn't helping him pack?
Aye, maybe it might have been. It was in sizing up the office. See where he put stuff. But what I remember for Stevie was he was always very, very helpful, always asking how everything was going on and can he help with anything. And like I say, that was from a young age. Did I think he would go on to be a manager? Not until he was finishing his career, and I seen that he was jumping on the back of helping folk be assistants and all the rest of it. Spoke to him a couple of times about it. He was in Ireland, he was at Dunfermline doing stuff as well. And then obviously he managed to get a chance over in America to go and start his coaching. And he's been coaching for a hell of a long time, you know what I mean? But although it's not, and this isn't me just trying to stick up for him, he's been coaching at a decent standard, but it's maybe no teams that are expected to go and kick on and win all the time. Do you know what I mean? So that's how folk are kind of turning and going, oh, he's not coached a team that's won a hell of a lot. But every team he's went to, he's progressed up to the next bit. He's progressed there. He's managed to get a move to Atlanta United, where he went in. They loved him. The manager get the sack. I think it was De Boer or something get the sack, one of the De Boer brothers.
Yeah.
And then they put Stevie in without any hassle to go and steady the ship for a wee while. At the same time, they had sold a couple of the better players, for what I'm led to believe. And then once they'd get another manager in, Stevie went back and they had the full reins of looking after their second team. But like I said, their second team, and it's been highlighted, their second team is he's just trying to build the youngsters and get them into that first team as quickly as possible. So it's not a case of 11 players all being brilliant and getting the win every week. It's maybe their focus is, but we're trying to get these two guys. They've got the best chance out of everybody, so they'll be kind of focused kind of on how they're getting on, and he's done that for what I'm led to believe, and so he's obviously worked himself a good reputation across there. Because we don't hear about it a lot over here, it's straight away it's a negative. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's no, hold on. But would I rather have Stevie Glass, whose eyes have been open to things in America and doing a lot of other things? The fans are asking for, and so there should be, I mean, more youngsters in the team and all the rest of it, and he's proven he can do that. He's managed to get Alan Russell in. I played with Alan at Partick Thistle for a wee while. Who's now turned into, I mean,
super
Alan Russell. He left Partick Thistle because he wasn't getting a game. You know what I mean?
Please tell me he knew how to score.
But he never. That's how he was away. But he was decent enough player, a decent guy, nice guy, big, good looking fella.
He's doing something right though, is he?
But that's the thing, you know what I mean? He's found something there that he's really good at, and everybody's jumped in the back of it. And if it's good enough for England's attacking team, you know what I mean? Us screaming out for a shot at goal at least, we'll welcome with open arms.
Yeah,
I think if Harry Kane and see, the thing is with Alan, it was just off the back of he was doing it in America, and then certain players are just having words with each other. Then he came over to England and he was helping out a couple of Premier League players, and it wasn't so much high profile striker boys. One thing led to another. He's everywhere. Folk are flying him. He's been in France. He's been, was it Italy? But he's been back and forward all over the place, and then now bang, he's in England. He stays in England. Does his superior striker one-on-one stuff, which is great. He's got all the technology, all the rest of the stuff which he's bought himself and looked after himself, and now takes it into that England setup. And I think he was also doing it. Wasn't just that. I think he was involved in the set pieces as well. And I think at the last Championship or World Cup, whatever was last there, England's set pieces were brilliant.
Yeah, apparently he is.
So he was. So that's a great side of him as well. So he'll come. Like I said, I'm now sitting back going, right, this is great. This is Scott Brown. I'll welcome with open arms. I know Scott, and you probably, I don't know how the guys feel about Scott, but for years, and everybody's had a moan about him and all the rest of it. But see if Scott Brown is in your team, you're the happiest. You know what I mean? You're over the moon. You want Scott Brown in your team because it doesn't matter what strip you've got on. Whatever strip he's got on, he's going to defend it. He's going to have a go at the ref. He's going to have a go at the fans. They're all going to have a go at him. But all he's doing is looking after his team and looking after his players.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The fact that he's a very good footballer, yes, he might be 35 now. He's just got a man of the match here in the Old Firm game, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think so.
He's still got a lot about him. So for him to come in and get offered a contract at Celtic and want to come up to Aberdeen, as I said, a team that's probably battered the life out of him when he's been playing so many times. And he's actually turned down Celtic another year, and I'm pretty sure he could have went to any country in the world as well to get sorted. But he's thought, right, Stevie's got a plan. He's brought Alan. I'm still going to be playing 2 hours up the road to Aberdeen, and like I said, if you get a year out and playing at the standard that you can, I mean, we'll be very lucky. And like I said, you can imagine now the young boys. And not so much just in the changing room, but that filters through to even the kids that I coach now. You know what I mean? Scott will come up because he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet as well. Away from football, just you can stand there and call him what he wants, you know. But like, ain't no problem. Thanks, mate. I'll see you after.
Yeah.
And he will, or else he'll stand and talk to you if you want to speak to him. But if somebody's hammering a life out, we'll just right. Thanks. I'll see you later. So he is. He's really really nice guy.
It could be that. This, all joking aside, although he's had some really good years at Celtic, the last couple of years he hasn't quite been the player he was. It could be that a new challenge for him, it revitalizes a guy.
Yep.
You know, he's used to a system. He's been there a long time. And also with playing for the Old Firm comes an element of hatred and you know, and some serious shit if you live in the centre of Glasgow. It's not the sort of place you want to be if you play for the Old Firm, is it?
Oh, he's Scotty stays in Edinburgh. He stays outside Edinburgh. So that's like I said, he's not daft enough to.
Yeah.
He's not in the middle of a city centre anywhere.
Well,
don't get me wrong. He's probably got a $2.5 million mansion somewhere, but he's out the road anyway. You know what I mean? He's not struggling.
Hopefully he moves up to Torry. There's a certain element of class up there, but he's. I think I don't know how everyone else feels, but Stephen Glass is an unknown. Scott Brown is a winner. Alan Russell clearly is doing something right, and when you put the three of them together, you're at least in with a really good shot of something.
But that was my point. I was getting at was you've just said it there. That you look at that and you're excited now. You know what I mean? The three guys there that are coming in, I would rather that than I'd not than a Premier League journeyman that's been bouncing about for a good while. That you're kind of all right, okay.
All right. Well, like Derek McInnes.
You know what I mean? Oh, he's not got a job yet, is he? He's not a journeyman yet.
No, but yeah, ultimately Derek, he was a good manager for Aberdeen. He steadied the ship. We always finished in the top half. We were respectable. 1 trophy and 21 opportunities. Just unfortunately, just wasn't enough. And I think perhaps Cormac, he has a way about him, and he's involved in America, and who knows where he's going to take us. But clearly, there's one thing out of this: Dave Cormac's a very different chairman to Stuart Milne.
Yeah.
I think Stuart was happy with a top 6 finish. My dad said it today. I think he was happy if you competed. Whereas Cormac clearly has higher aspirations, and so he should. Aberdeen's a huge club.
Yeah.
It's got untapped potential, and Scott Brown, hopefully, I think he can see that. And I think we're in with a real chance.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been in touch since his appointment then?
I texted him the other day, and it was actually the day Scott Brown got announced. I just texted him saying, "Oh, brilliant news, blah blah blah." I'd been keeping contact with his mum and dad, because I think he did. He came out and said it himself. He never actually found out until like stupid o'clock at night, I think. So they kind of never. They were still sitting in the fence of whether he was getting or not. So they weren't too sure. So I gave it a couple of days and then gave him a text. He says, all he says to me was, "Oh, cheers, Des, brilliant catch up. We'll obviously see you when I come back." He says, "I've got a million phone calls to make today." I was like, "All right, perfect. I'll catch you soon." But later on that day, it was the Scott Brown announcement.
Yeah.
I thought, maybe did have one or two phone calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you just do us a favour, next time you speak to him, make sure he calls it football and no fucking soccer, eh? Because if he starts calling it soccer, then he's done.
I'll be at the front of the queue, don't worry.
Aye, okay. If we go back to your time in Aberdeen when you were a player, if we talk about the 6-5 Motherwell game, so after losing the first 6 games this season, you went on to win the first game in really bizarre circumstances at Motherwell, where it finished 6-5. Ebby had just been appointed manager that season. Why do you think it took him so long to get going? What were your memories of him? From what I heard, he smoked like a kipper and he kept the booze quite close. But he was, somehow, despite the results, he was incredibly well respected from the fans.
I think because, like I said, it was a foreign manager coming in as well. You kind of need to give him time and settle and whatnot. For us as players, and I was still young at the time, I think I was 18, 19, I think. It was something different. But when you're that age, you kind of just look at everybody else's reaction. And there was guys like Jesse, and Jess was there, and a pile of other guys. So you're kind of watching them, and you're just getting on with your training. I was still playing with the reserves and at the time as well, and kind of flitting back and forward with the first team. So I think it was more to do. It was it was more the way he went about training and things like that. Training would maybe last forever, but not too much was happening, or else it was something that didn't really make sense to the guys that were involved in the session. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't your usual. You would, how would like a manager would come in and you'd have passing possession games, or else you would be. There's a million ways to change that, if you know what I mean. Passing possession games, it can be different for a month solid every day, but it's kind of similar all the time. But this was different ways of training, and like I said, some days you would be doing a lot of running about without the ball, but just in positions, and it wasn't making sense to a lot of people. And I think that was maybe the problem. I think because that was maybe the other thing as well. Is you had Ebbs come in, and then it was we took Tommy Moller-Nielsen from Rangers because he was a first team coach, but he came to us as assistant manager. But Tommy, for life, mate, really, really nice guy, so funny and everything, but there wasn't much coming off him, you weren't getting much out of him either. It was as if he more kind of looked at Ebby to see what was happening, and then came to us. It was so it was as if, like I said, if the boys were maybe struggling to work out what Ebby was trying to get through, you would maybe get it off the assistant manager, right, this and this, but you were still left kind of stranded going, what's that session all about? What are we getting out of that? And he ended up the manager of the, like I know Jesse went in to see him and asked him about training at one point, and somebody else had went in, and it was kind of like, this is how we train, this is it, this will get us up the table and whatever else. And do you know what? It's maybe his way of doing it, and it maybe worked when he was in Bromby, and there's not to say it couldn't have worked here, but I think maybe, like I said, we ended up with a lot of young boys in the team. Boys were leaving, foreigners were coming in. It was just a big mix of what ifs. Then you're trying to get a settled team as well. So it was it went okay at times. Yeah, we got to 2 cup finals, but we nearly get relegated, and things like that. And so it was hard. It kind of got to the stage where you were, if you're a footballer, you shouldn't be struggling to come into training and going, what we're going to get today.
Mm.
You should be coming out that car and bouncing across the ash at the front of Pittodrie, straight into the front door, ready to get outside with the bag of balls on your shoulder and go. But you, like I said, there was too many times you were maybe coming in, and like I said, and that was me as a young boy as well, coming and going, geez, what's going on here? But there was a lot of younger boys there kind of looking at the reaction of the older ones, and they're not happy, so you're kind of thinking, oh, I'm not happy either then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there was times where you think you should be playing and you're not getting the chance, and then you'd go in and speak to them and you would just get palmed off because you're a young boy. So it was kind of hard. But as a guy, honestly, nice guy, smoked like an absolute chimney. I don't know if the guys have ever managed it. If you've ever been in the manager's office in Pittodrie, there's no windows in it. It's just there's no windows. There's 2 doors in it, but there's no windows. But he used to smoke in there, so you can imagine it's like smoking in a cave. So you would somebody would come and give you a shout. The manager wants to speak to you, so you would like, oh no. And this is the truth, right? See, if you were maybe going home, I've got jeans and a t-shirt on now. If I get the shout to go into the manager's office, you would go and get your training gear, and you would take your own clothes off, and you would put the training gear on, and then you would go back in and see the manager. Just because you were covered in smoke. As soon as you opened the door, it was like, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be share. You know what I mean? Something coming out the smoke.
Coming out of there smelling like
honestly. But that was the thing. The guys, it got to the stage, somebody would just come up to you and go, what was the manager saying to you? And you're looking at them going, how do you know? Because they could smell you from a mile away. You're in the manager's office. What have you been up to? Why is the manager want to see you?
Jeez.
But like I said, a nice guy, but yeah, he liked to drink. Not that he turned up steaming or anything like that. Just you would hear stories about him later on, and they were having parties at the weekends.
I don't know that bit, but please tell us about the parties.
I think because what it was, one of the ones I can remember was not so much having a full-on rave house party, but it was he would invite like the other coaching staff round with their wives and whatever. And I think one of the ones that sticks in, I think it must have been New Year, and I think a tradition in Denmark is there's a lot of music. They're playing music at New Year, but when it's come to the bells, it's come to midnight, they stand on the couch or a chair and they jump off it onto the floor to. I don't know what the thought is behind it, but I can remember this getting fed back to us, you know what I mean, and the boys just in hysterics thinking what's happening in Evie's house, you know what I mean.
Can you show us? Can you do a demonstration?
But it was, and I think it was the red wine. He was no stranger to the red wine for the feedback I was getting.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he had that sort of Klopp personality where he engaged with the fans, and because he was very passionate, that was clear to see. Do you think that was like a European manager thing? Because
I wouldn't say he was as close with us though. I
Really?
don't think he was as close with the players at all. No.
Wow.
I don't know if it's just. It was kind of hard to get praise out of him. Do you know what I mean? But I think maybe if you're playing well, it would be like, well, that's what you're getting paid for. It wasn't a big scene. It was more if you were having a bass, then he's gone, right, come here. You're having a nightmare. Come here and sit next to me. But like I said, a nice guy, fine enough. Could have went better. I don't know, to be honest with you, as Man City, how did it not kick on? You're a young boy trying to figure it out yourself, and you're just more interested in the boys aren't playing well. I want to play. Why am I not playing? I'm doing well for the reserves. I'm scoring goals or I'm setting goals up. But he did seem he had a base of players that he kind of had, and they were going to play. he pissed me off massively once, well, a couple of times. But we were playing. It was when the Scottish Cup final, the one Jim Leighton get kicked in the face.
Oh, aye, Rod Wallace.
Yeah. So
I was
the
there.
build up. Well, so was I, but I ended up sitting in the fucking stand. I was probably sitting next to you.
Aye.
The 2 weeks I had been playing, I was in the first team at the time playing away, and I was doing well enough. And we'd played Hibs away. I'd get man of the match in that game for us. And then the following week, I can't remember who we were playing, but we had somebody tripped me in training and I twisted my ankle. And it wasn't too bad, but it was like, right, don't chance it for the game on the Saturday because we've got the cup final in the following week. And like I said, I was playing well, and when I was fit, I was playing. So fast forward to, I think I was the boys played the game. I can't remember whatever the last league game was. I can't remember the score, whatever. But
It was 4-0, I think, in the end.
No, this was the game before. So like I said, it was an away game somewhere. So I hadn't went to it. So I'd been in getting treatment Saturday, Sunday. The boys came in on the Monday. I never joined in Monday. Joined in Tuesday, fine. We were off on the Wednesday. Trained Thursday, fine. Trained Friday, fine. Flying, busting, can't wait. Big cup final. And the sheet goes up in the room. I was 18. It was 19 at the time. And my birthday was the cup final, the 27th of May. So my birthday was the day of the cup final. So I'm buzzing, going to Hampden, cup final. I'm only 19, going to turn 20, something along those lines. And up goes the team sheet. However many players, 17, 18, not on it. Nothing, nowhere to be seen. The guy who'd got man of the match a couple of weeks ago, who was getting rested to make sure he was ready for the, maybe, well, if you've been injured, you can't really expect yourself to go straight in, but
in the squad at
least in the squad and all the rest of it.
Wasn't there a few European players?
Well, that's where I'll get to. Where I'm talking about favouritism and all the rest of it. So, like I said, me being me, must be something wrong here. Surely he knows I'm fit. I've trained Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I've been flying, busting for this game. And in the chaptie's door, the same scene as you can imagine. You open the door and the smoke comes piling out again. Away through. Is that you, Ebby? So I went in and asked him, and like Gardner Spears, I think, was the assistant manager at the time. Gardner was there as well, I'm sure. And I was like, I says, look, I've just seen the team sheet there, the sheet for the cup final. I says, I'm not on it. And he's going, yes, I know. I says, well, why not? I says, well, what have I done? I says, I've trained all week. I'm fit. I'm ready to go. He says, yeah, but don't worry, you're still young. I says, that doesn't matter. I says, if I'm young or not. I says, 2 weeks ago, I was your top man. Away from home, playing Hibs. We beat Hibs. I think we beat them 2-1, or something. We got a decent result anyway. I says, I was playing the week before that. I says, I missed the game so I could be fit to come. And then, I mean, that was the feedback I got. Look after yourself, go with the physio, make sure you're sorted and all the rest of it. And then it comes to the Friday, still got it in my head. I'm on this bus, we're going down to stay in Glasgow, then I'm playing at Hampden the next day. And no, it was Rashid Bellabed was there. Anybody else with a Bellabed in their name? Somebody else? Just there was. You can even know yourself, but there was a few boys piled in there that shouldn't have been there anyway. For the way they'd played, and two, they weren't even getting on the bench for previous games. So I'd obviously just gave them both barrels. Being the wee quiet guy for Glasgow that I was, I thought, no, I'm not having this. I've not worked my way through to get into this team. Then you say, that's all right, you'll get a chance to go to Hampden some other time. I mean, it's you're kind of looking going, well, if you're wanting whoever's been playing at the top, but you're doing well for you and all the rest of it, surely I should be in there. Surely I should be in the squad at least. I'll be on the bench. I should be, if I'm been one of your best players for the past few weeks running up. I mean, he just just kind of squeezed me through the smoke out the door to scoot out the road. I was fuming, absolutely fuming. But the next day, or I packed, because that was it. That was kind of like the end of the season. So usually in the summer, I go back down the road, stay with mum and dad. Same with Dan, obviously. So I just packed my bag up and left. And I was out that night, absolutely steaming, rolling about Glasgow. But as you can imagine, you're rolling about Glasgow and there's half Aberdeen standing going,
why you no fucking playing?
Fuck you doing here?
See the one. See the one.
It's going to score a goal for us. You no bother.
That must have been pretty shy.
So it was. Yeah. So that was. It killed me. Absolutely killed me for a while. Just I thought, how can I trust the guy to go the way he was? Because it was 1,000,000% just down to he's brought these guys over from wherever else, and they've managed to squeeze into the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was a few of them, a couple of them were decent, very, very good players. But like I said, it was just a bit of a kick in the plums when you've worked yourself into a team and then you get the excuse it's all right, you'll get there.
One game you did play in, which you probably wish you hadn't, is Queen of the South semi-final.
Come on.
At 80th minute, you came on. You still played the game.
I was out for 3 months. I'd done my knee. We played Celtic, and I chased Samaras. Somebody wasn't covering right, so I chased back. I clocked Samaras make a run, and when Samaras gets going, he's away. He's gone. So somebody bent the ball and the outside of him, and I'm running up next to him, and all I can think to myself is, if he gets first to this ball, he's touching it and he's away. There's nothing. So I've just tried to time it as the ball gets round to him, win the ball, hit him, take him out. He got the touch on the ball. I took him out. My knee went round the back of my head, and I ended up out for 3 months, because somebody else never took the runner. But that's beside the point.
Is that your excuse? Is that where you're going?
But what ended up happening, I wasn't expecting to be anywhere near it, but I was getting back fit. And then I was joining in kind of practice matches the week before. And I was actually meant to be playing in a friendly, and the game got called off. So I was back to normal training anyway on the Monday. And I think it was the Tuesday, the manager came in and says to me, Jimmy's C came in and went, look, how you feeling? How's everything? And I was like, aye, fine, just obviously raging. We never managed to get the friendly last week, but I says, I'm still all right. And he just says to me, the way he does, he kind of comes up and slides up next to you and just, everything all right? And I good. And then he just says, look, I want to put you on the bench for the Queen of the South game. He says, just in case. He says, how are you feeling for that? I was thinking, I'm thinking back to Ebbie going, he didn't want me anywhere near it, and you're wanting me here half fit. So that's the difference you get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he believed in you. That's the difference as well.
It's the same for a lot of players. Through the years, some players don't do well with this manager and kick on with that manager and whatever else, and that's football for you. So he says to me on the Tuesday, so I kind of knew I was going to be in the bench. So I just made myself make sure I was fit. Looked after myself, and then
you didn't go into the pitch this time.
Went to Hampden. No, I didn't know.
Or did you? I
think there was 11 boys out there that night. But no, just one of the games that you probably yourself, you're just watching through your hands and the thing going, right, that's us up again. Right, cool. Score another one. We'll kick off. We should kick on and no bother. And then they would score again.
Yeah.
And we'd score. And you're going, oh my God, what the hell's happening here? And it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. And like you said, there was 10 minutes to go or something. I didn't think I was going to be going on. There's no way I thought I was going to be going on, but he's gave me the shout to go on for 10 minutes.
It's hard to do much in 10 minutes.
To be fair, there was a couple of decent balls through. I thought I'd put Richard Foster through at one point. He missed it. And he's lightning as well. I don't know how the hell he never caught it.
Because he's a Hun, Derek. That's what.
That's opinions. But aye, just as you can imagine the changing room after it, just folk kind of looking at each other going, what actually happened there? Jimmy just in the corner, just wow, just nothing. Jimmy C, who's usually bubbly, or if something wrong's happened, he's right on top of people. But just as white as a sheet, just this isn't, no words are going to get us through this. You're going to get battered for the rest of the season with that and beyond. And you've brought it up here to cheer me right up. And the cracker is I've now went to Queen of the South, and you can imagine the folk up the stairs there. Like, oh, hiya, you played that game.
Hi.
And I got on great with them. I had a great time at Queen of the South, but it's they're no slow in rolling that one.
No, but is it like Pittodrie where they've got pictures of past glories?
It is, yes, exactly that.
Stevie Tosh, an ex-Aberdeen player as well, and you got Jamie McQuilkin and other players who played for Aberdeen at some point, just standing there like this.
Yep, more or less.
I'm gonna put you on mute for a minute because I'm gonna play a 6-minute video for everyone, and it's gonna lead me on to my next question. All right, okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, I'm gonna mute you, and let's just watch some footage, and then we'll have a little chat. Yeah.
Better not be 5 minutes of bloopers.
No, it's not. No, no. It leads us to our next question. I'm gonna mute you now. Bear with me. And I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to watch something that leads us on to something that we may very well be aware of. You all see the screen, yeah?
Winters, Daddy! Again, another chance, goes begging. This time Douglas happy. Have it safely in his arms, but lovely link-up play. Winters just into the path of Daddy. Robert Douglas. Petrov misses out Visconti. Stretching the play out to Jamie McAllister. And again, the battle continues in every department. No time to really put your foot on the ball, and sometimes difficult to keep your feet on the ground, as Robbie Winters found out there. Good fight. And again, he's opening up for Darren Young. Tries the shot. Oh, deflected there. And Eugene Daddy, well, he's looking for a penalty. And he's not going to get it. It's a great shot from Darren Young. Difficult one for a keeper to deal with. The deflection, and then Eugene Daddy trying to get the rebound. Let's have a look from here. Well, it's a tough one to call. Thompson, all the way in there. On! Keir almost watched that go back. Peter Keir, in his first game for Aberdeen, let a similar free kick from Stevie Filton go all the way into the net, and if Parson hadn't got a touch there, that would have been the opening goal for Celtic. Maybe think about a shot here. It's the cross in, and just too far for Daddy. Excellent play. I thought maybe Robbie Winters was thinking about the shot. Drifts the cross in there. Adopt this rather unusual approach to the set piece. Derek White leads what can only be described as a train of players heading out of the box and then back in to try and cause some havoc. Over it goes, White misses it, Daddy does it. Punched away there by Robert Douglas, McGuire takes a swipe at it. Oh, there was a hand! Penalty kick! John Hodgson concedes a penalty. Pittodrie erupts, and Stuart Dougal wasn't too far away, and this time Aberdeen do get the penalty. Well, you can see it quite clearly. yards. Winters, 1-0 Aberdeen. Winters with his 10th goal of the season. Scotland is delighted. And Aberdeen get their just rewards for a simply fantastic performance here. There's still a long way to go, but that really has galvanised the Pittodrie faithful. Walder trying to pick out Sutton. Larson's there. Here's an opportunity. Oh, and Derek White had to get a touch there. Excellent play by the Aberdeen captain. Lennon. Sutton holding it up. Lennon trying to drive it through to Larson. Derek White's there again. Brings out for Thompson. Peta. Peta tackled there by Anderson. Russell Anderson plays it out. Derek White in some trouble. And the game will be held up. Well, the Aberdeen fans are angry as Celtic continue to fight. And they don't play the ball back. And here's a chance for Larson! Saved by Keir. Derek White cleared off the line. Philip Maguire. And there's a real sense of anger inside Pittodrie. The fans clearly thought Celtic should have played that ball back. We're waiting for the final whistle. Daddy. All M Scotland side has to do is keep possession. And they have a chance now with Darren Mackey on Mulhallen. And Mulhallen playing it back to Robert Douglas. Oh, what Douglas doing? It's going to be a goal for Aberdeen. It's all over here. Aberdeen have won this one by 2 goals to 0. What a mistake by Robert Douglas. And Pittodrie erupts. M Scotland watches on. The anguish on Robert Douglas's face. The euphoria. And of course the celebrations begin. It's an early Christmas present from Robert Douglas. And Darren Mackey is happy to accept it and wrap up the points for Aberdeen. 2-0 here at Pittodrie. And Aberdeen have deserved their win. It's all over.
So that leads me on to hold on, get all this shit. That leads me on to our next question, which of course is losing the first 3 home games this season, going on to win 9 games in a row, and then of course the Celtic Caterpillar or the Conga or whatever the hell it's called. Can we just say thank you very much, first of all, for beating Celtic at Pittodrie, because that's a rare thing and it's nice to see. But right. The best celebration I think we've seen since Zero Ali's little backflips. You know what?
Do you know what? This is the God's honest truth. And not this. Eugene, Big Daddy. He was just kind of in Eugene's world all the time. We just used to live round about him. That was him. He just everything was chilled and calm, and every so often he would burst into life. And obviously at the end of that game, I can remember him. He's pointing. I don't know if you've seen it there, but he was like pointing to me, saying, "Desi, Desi, Desi." He's pointing at the floor, and I'm thinking, I'm too busy buzzing. You know what I mean? You're just gone mad. You've just beat Celtic 2-0. We've broke a record.
Yeah.
So your head's just
because they were on a big run, weren't they?
They were doing great. You've seen the team there. The players. I mean, they were an unbelievable team. And like I said, he's pointing at the floor to me, and I'm like looking at him. Then he kind of went down, and he's like still pointing, and I just followed him. And all of a sudden, there's people behind me, and it's getting longer and longer. And now to this day, it gets mentioned. And as you've said, is it a train? Is it a caterpillar? We still don't know.
No,
still don't know. So we'll keep the mystery going. But what a game! Just I've honestly not seen that for years and years. I've seen the goals, but I've not seen the actual clips of the games, and it was an absolute battle. It was one of the games I ended up, I get subbed a while before the end, and I was absolutely out of my feet. I can remember just being absolutely burst because at no point in the game did it settle. You know what I mean? There's maybe times in the game where they've got the ball and they're playing about. Everything was 100 mile an hour. And that, what was that, 5-6 minutes there, did you say?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
You've seen it there. You can hear the crowd from early on in the first half. And I think we were on top of them, and we were getting shots away, and we were getting balls in boxes and everything as well. So it was, you could see it was there for us to go and do something. And thankfully and don't get me wrong, Peter Caird on the other side with a couple of miracle saves and with shots off the line. Peter Caird, and he was colourblind, which is unbelievable. He was colourblind. We never knew this till about 6 months in. Thinking, that might tell us a few things here. I think a couple of the centre halves were colourblind as well, but we'll not go into that. But no, and he was another one. No, he was needing a passport check as well. He was a few years scrapped off his passport as well. He didn't always train, but it was a case of make sure he's fit for the weekend, because he's a massive part of it, and he was really good, and he was really good with the young goalies as well, and just a nice guy, a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, he's, as you said, he was a great keeper, and there were some, again, great players. Eugene Daddy being one of them. Sadly, he was only there for a year, which is remarkable, really. I think he sort of had a bit of a fallout towards the end of his time there, and which was unfortunate. But he certainly left an impression. Someone else that left an impression was Hisham Ziru Ali, and I know
we Shammy.
Yeah, and he he was a teammate of yours.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, everybody loved him. Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that because obviously he's passing and everything, but as a guy to come over from Morocco, hardly spoke any English, a very good Muslim, we'll say, what it was meant to, no drinking, no getting out. That soon changed.
As soon as he came to Aberdeen, because he went to the kebab shop in Bridge Street. Was it across from Wilson's?
He had friends there as well. He got that tells you its own story. He knew more people in Aberdeen than me. And like I said, he would come in and just train. Some of the stuff he would do in training, I mean, he would just do it, and then you would think, how has he actually done that? How have you actually managed to get out of that position or find a way of scoring for that stupid angle? And he ended up scoring a couple of a good few ridiculous goals. Worldies that were just unreal. But he was somebody, like I said, it could take them forever to get used to things. But he came in and just went with the boys and joined in, and he would say stuff which never made any sense, but you're all laughing, and he's laughing. He's got tears rolling down his face because he knows he's not making any sense. But because he was like that, you were straight into him and helping him. You know what I mean? You were like, he's not caring. You need to say this. You can obviously imagine he was struggling at times, and he would ask people how to say something. So you get led up the garden path a few times. You know what I mean? He was telling all sorts of people fuck off, and you know what I mean. And he's getting the reaction. People going, why is he saying that to me?
Yeah,
folk have told him the wrong thing to say, and he's done himself in.
As one of our guys, as our fans have said, he even dyed his hair blonde just to try and fit in with the public, and he tragically passed away age of 27 in a car accident. Where were you when you heard the news? I mean, what was? How did you hear about it?
I think it was in the house. I think I'd read it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can imagine the boys are texting straight away and phoning like, Jesus, you're never going to believe this.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that happens that you don't believe for ages. You know what I mean? You kind of don't. Because I knew he's partner here, and he's got a wee girl. Yeah. He's obviously grown up a good bit now, but when he was here, so I still kind of know his ex-wife or his ex-missus, and horrible, absolutely horrible. But like you said, the memories that you've got are good, happy memories. I mean, he wasn't wasn't a pain in the arse. He wasn't a this or that. You know what I mean? It's somebody you would kind of go, nah, you're all right. It came over, no idea what he was doing, and then he hit the ground running over here and became a fan's favourite.
If it's okay with you, just out of respect for Zero, I'd like to share the screen just for 27 seconds, just silence, out of respect for what was one of our incredible players during a period where perhaps he was just in the wrong team at the wrong time, because as a luxury player he really could set the world alight. So if it's all right with you, I'll if you just mute yourself for 27 seconds, I'll just share my screen, and if we can all pay our respects to a great player that used to play for our club. And that's Hisham Zero Ali, who, sadly passed at the age of 27. So thank you for the memories, Hisham. You know, we'll never forget you. I remember going to his memorial service personally myself at Bataudry with my dad, and it was a very sad day, because you just don't expect one of your heroes to pass away in your lifetime at that age. You know, it happens, but yeah, not at that age. So you know, we respect and honor him. Going on to influences and managers that managed you, would it be fair to say that Jimmy Calderwood was maybe the biggest influence, or one of the biggest influences? And if so, when was the last time you spoke to him? Because we know he's been ill, sadly. And how's he doing?
Right, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to stick this light on behind me, all right? It's getting dark.
Yeah. All right. Going to light myself. There we go.
That's a bit better. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, it's getting dark, is it?
No, the last time I spoke to Jimmy was a few years ago, and he wasn't fine, but he knew everything that was going on and how things were, and still joking away. I could meet Jimmy anywhere, and straight away it'd be meet you fucking wanting. But he's for me, like we were talking about managers that knew how to treat certain players, or do this with them and do that with them. Jimmy, that was Jimmy with me, because it happened at Dunfermline, it happened at Aberdeen, where he trusted me to go and do whatever. And I think the way he went about speaking to players and looking after each other. I mean, Hadji's working as a team, Hadji's looking after each other. I mean, I don't know if you probably noticed, but if something kicked on in the pitch, for saying sake, Darn, somebody smashed into Darn, everybody would be, you know what I mean, everybody was over, it was their teammate, it was, you looked after each other on the park. It was just a mentality thing as well. Jimmy loved changing formations about the place and turning up with all sorts of ideas. And to be fair, there's things that he done that people would have no idea that he actually done it on a park. But now there's that much video analyst stuff, they would be shocked at some of the stuff. I don't know how many games we actually played, and it was more or less a two at the back. We're right and left back just kicking on before it kind of happened now. Obviously, like I said, video analysts now, everything's highlighted to death. So Jimmy back then would have been getting stretched all over the place for some of the things that was happening. But you know what I mean, he knew how to get good players together. He knew how to get good teams together. You highlighted the Queen of the South game. That's probably the one that killed him. For his job. And the thing is, it's don't get me wrong, it's a shocker, an absolute shocker. Anyway, we shouldn't be getting beaten all the rest of it. But I think we had built a team. I had came back. What was that in 2007? Yeah, I was 27. And he's built a team there. But we're doing well in the Europa League and whatever else. And you get to Christmas, and then players start leaving as well down to England because he's doing a great job. The boys are playing really well, and they're moving on to pastures new. Away down to the merry-go-round down in England to play down there, and so the team starts, like I said, depleting again, and it's you now need to start finding other players to fill these gaps again, and keep the season still going. And it was obviously tough for him, but I think they did. Like I said, that's the Queen of the South game. Is probably the one that done him in. Obviously, horrendous scoreline and all the rest of it, but I think maybe we could have kept him, and I think we should have kept him, and I think it's shown that we should have kept him because there was people coming through as well, youngsters there and thereabouts, with a decent enough team, but he could probably have got more bodies into to help. Whether there was money there or not, I don't know, but we just made a hell of a lot of money through the Europa League and that, but the year before, so there was money there to play with. But
So was he? I mean, who was your biggest influence as a manager during your career then?
It was him. The story I'll give you when I was leaving Aberdeen, got offered the contract, rubbish, all the rest of it, blah blah blah. Agent phones and says, Dunfermline, I want to speak to you and Dan about going down there. They're obviously doing really well. Jimmy Calderwood, blah blah blah. We never knew Jimmy Calderwood at all. We just knew him through the telly and all the rest of it. But we knew most of his team, who some of them were playing in the Scotland squads. You had Barry Nicholson, you had Scott Wilson, you had Scott Thompson for Aberdeen, you had Brewster, you had Crawford up front. And so Dunfermline spoke to the club and asked if it was all right to speak to me and Dan about. So yeah, it was fine. So we went down and spoke to them.
I mean, you were a regular. You guys were regulars in the team, and
Dan was captain.
Yeah, and there was a hatred towards you guys when you left, and there must be a reason behind it.
See, the thing is, right, and I done a podcast. I've done a couple now since lockdown, and I'm honest about it. I've got nothing. There's nothing rubbish for me. That it was. If you can imagine, two of your young boys have came through the youth ranks and they're playing in your first team. One of them's your captain, and they're disappearing to another club who aren't anywhere near as big as Aberdeen, but at that moment in time they're better.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing. They were playing better and all the rest of it. Blah, blah, blah. Aberdeen had brought in Stevie Patterson, who even before Stevie Patterson walked through the door, every single person in a changing room, and I don't know how anybody in the board or the chairman never knew that Stevie Patterson had problems. The whole world knew Stevie Patterson had problems.
Wow, okay.
So, as you can imagine, you're sitting waiting to see who this new manager was, and then bang, it's Stevie Patterson, and you're kind of looking and going, how can it be Stevie Patterson? And I'm not, it's not bad. I'm not bad mouthing him, you know what I mean? It's a fact, aye. So we know this.
Yeah, he was an alcoholic.
So you're going, oh my God. So, and there were signs of it when we were in quite early. What was going on? You're thinking, oh my God, here we go. So that was my manager.
Yeah.
So as you can fast forward it 4 or 5 months, when you're getting offered a contract, it's a 1-year contract. Half the wages you're on, that you've and as I said, you're not a Johnny foreigner that's came in and they've went, oh, here's bags of cash, come on, play with Aberdeen. You've worked your way through, playing with the youth team, playing with the reserves, you're in the first team. As you said, you're a regular playing away.
Your brother's captain. Yeah.
And then they turn around and go, right, well, and the thing was, because you were still young, the contract they would kind of feed you with is, right, well, here's the money you're getting, right, okay, and this is your appearance money, but the more times you play, maybe you say you start 5 games, your appearance money will maybe jump up. So at one point, or at that time, my appearance money was higher than my wages because I was playing all the time. So it tells its own story that you're actually playing in the first team.
It's mad.
But what happened there was 1 year contract, your wages are getting halved. Your appearance money, which is higher than your wages, is getting bulldozed. That's less than half. So you're just kind of standing in an office looking at the manager going, did I just hear you right there? Yeah. And then he hands me a sheet of paper with everything on it, and I'm going, this can't be right. How's this? What's happening? And then spoke to him. He says there was no way they wanted me to stay, but this was the offer. And I was like, right, well, it looks like you don't want me to stay. I says, I'm a young boy that's worked my way through. To expect a massive pay rise or anything like that, no, because I know the club's the way it is.
Yeah.
And so there was nothing there. Disappeared, and Dan got the shout later on. Dan had went in, same with him. Boom, half your wages and all the rest of it. He was the captain. He'd actually been offered a 2-year deal. So there was nothing else, no feedback, nothing else came back for the club of, right, what's happening here. Obviously spoke to the agent. He'd got an email sent with the contracts and everything on it. So he's obviously straight on. We spoke to him, and he's like, look, spoke to the club, spoke to the chairman, or spoke to whoever he had to speak to. Don't know for budging. What he's thinking. And me and Dan are obviously going, well, if it's got to this stage now, but we're sitting here, the players we're getting in, and no disrespect to them, but you'll know what I mean, that are lesser players than that were already at the club.
Yeah.
We've got no money at the summer, obviously, to bring anybody else in. Our manager is Stevie Patterson. The guy, unfortunately, had problems. What do you do? And then, like I said, you get the shout for Jimmy to go and speak to him at Dunfermline. We know a lot of the boys at Dunfermline, they're doing great. The feedback is his training's brilliant. He gets you sorted for games. He just wants to win. Yeah. He wants to win. Doesn't care who he's playing. He'll want to win. It might look like he's sitting in at some point in games, but it's more a distraction of, right, we'll sit in for a wee bit and then bang, counter-attack. So
you should have got Stevie Patterson pished. He might have given you
so what I was saying there was, so as you can imagine, that's my side. So there's you talk about the hatred and everything else. That was it from me and Dan. There was nothing else.
Yeah, nothing else.
Right, I mean, but you had the boy that did the Evening Express, Charlie
Allen,
Big Charlie, my pal.
What a dick.
He put something stupid in the paper that
no way. I don't believe it.
That me and Dan were going to a bigger club, like as if we had said that. Some other pish as well. Now me and Dan hadn't said a thing. Was it Keith Wyness? Keith Wyness used to be the director or whatever. Yeah. Keith Wyness came out as well. He's spouted some crap that was obviously trying to protect the club against me and Dan. Still no said anything. So folk have read the paper. Folk have read his statement. Me and Dan are sitting tight going, still no said anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we got asked the question about he's leaving and all the rest of it, it was right, well, we got offered a contract, we're not accepting it, half our wages, blah, 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 blah. Everything, there was never anything hidden away, and I'll still 100% tell everybody that asks me to this day, there was nothing, that was it. It was somebody coming in and going, right, here, there's all that hard work you've done, there's all your wages away, right, hold on, right, you're still going to be with this guy who's drunk half the time, and your team isn't great. So you're left with an answer and you go, right, well. So like I said, we ended up going to speak to Jimmy, spoke about the club, what was going to do. Once they offer is a 3-year deal, you're like, okay, that sounds good. Speaks to Dan, went in the middle of my park. You're obviously captain here. You could be captain material for me alongside Scott Thompson, blah, 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 blah. Brilliant, no bother. He says, Derek, you. He says, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with you. He says, but you're fucking coming to me.
So he said, really.
I was honest, too. Yeah. He says, I don't know exactly where I'm going to play you. Yeah. He says, but you'll play. He says, I know what you're like. That's why I've got you. I want you to come. He says, and
And
that was,
who wouldn't want to sign for someone like that? I mean, that's, as a player, you need appreciation. You don't, you know, some people need their arse kissed, but you know, you just need to know you're wanted, don't you? But what a lot of people don't know, your dad was quite ill at the time, wasn't he?
yep.
And he sadly passed away, didn't he?
He did a while after we'd been down the road, but he'd been on and off no well. Well, it wasn't cancer to start with, but he ended up making his way through, back and forward. And then he'd get cancer, and I think they get, after we'd kind of been told, I think we got like 6 months out of it. But it was, it's horrible at the time and all the rest of it, and it's hard one. So like I said, it was part of the decision of going down the road, was to be closer down the road as well, and everything. It was maybe you laugh at it, but it was maybe a sign. Yeah, time to go, be closer. Everything just kind of went in line, and horrible time, but it happened. And but he came to everything. He was, my dad was a Rangers season ticket holder, so he was, which you'll probably not want to hear. But he was a Rangers season ticket holder for years and years and years. He used to go all the time. As you can imagine, me and Dan had football 24/7. So we'd be doing that and all the rest of it. But when Dan ended up in the first team, that his season ticket was gone. He was Pittodrie back and forward, away games, back and forward. Didn't miss any games, him and my mum. So they made their way right around the Premier League, getting to know everybody. They knew everybody at the front doors, everywhere as well. So when he actually passed away, and it's the truth, every time we went to a different club, whether it was me or Dan, somebody at one of the clubs would always come and say, "Oh, sorry to hear about your dad. He was so lovely," and all the rest. Your mum and dad coming, they would always come and stand at the door waiting for the two of you coming after the game, sort of thing. So he left an impression at every ground in bloody Scotland, I think. But I loved football. He loved it when Dan had managed to make it and all the rest of it. So yeah, great.
I think you know, whether Aberdeen saw the value in both of you or they didn't, they may also have done you a favour, and getting to spend more time with your dad was. You know,
and we're talking about Jimmy C there. When my dad had passed away, I think it was maybe the day later. Jimmy C was at Aberdeen, and he was one of the first people. He got Aberdeen to send in a big bunch of flowers down to my mum's.
Really?
From Aberdeen. So he was clued in and on it, and really, really nice with it. So yeah.
And Jimmy C saw the value in you again, because when he not only signed you from Dunfermline, but when he got the gig at Aberdeen, you were the guy he called, and I believe he said, "I've got one wage left, and I want to spend it on you."
That was it. That's his exact words. I had left Dunfermline when I was. The thing is, when I was at Dunfermline, I had some of it was amazing. Some of it was. I was there for 3 years. I had 4 operations. We had, the club had went into, everybody had to take pay cuts as well, and then at the same time, the rug get pulled from under us. By the way, we're getting an AstroTurf pitch. So you can imagine, you're thinking it's a bit of a whirlwind here. And yeah, my time is up and down. I played in 2 cup finals when I was there, which is great. Hey, Ebby Scovdale was right. I did play at Hampden. Unfortunately, it wasn't for Aberdeen. And then it was getting. Where was I going with that? What were you saying there again?
Jimmy signed you again.
Aye, so I'd finished the season at Dunfermline, and I had a year at Partick Thistle, and it was just a case of get there, go and play, stay fit, and then from there see what it takes me.
Yeah.
And I went there. I think I played something like 34, 35 games, and I'd obviously done well enough, but I had left there. There was 4 or 5 of the teams in the Championship wanting to sign me at the end of it, but it was just the usual one. You as a player, you obviously want to play as high as you can, but the way it works, when you've had a decent enough season, you kind of linger about and wait and see who's sniffing about to the end. So I was playing that cool card.
And with the greatest respect, Partick Thistle isn't Aberdeen, is it? So
no,
it must have been a bit of a shock when you got the phone call.
So it was, like I said, so I was in the house one night. Jimmy had phoned. I would still keep in contact with him even though I was away, and or he had went up the road and all the rest of it. He was at Aberdeen, but he would, even if we've seen him where I stay, me and Dan, believe it or not, when we left Aberdeen, the two of us moved back down obviously the road, but the two of us moved to a new housing estate in Cumbernauld, and there was 9 houses built in this estate, and Dan moved to the second one, and I get the 8th one. So we were still in the same street. We still couldn't get away from each other in Cumbernauld. But it was 5 minutes along the road from the Westerwood Hotel. So any time Aberdeen were down playing whoever, 9 times out of 10 they would stay at the Westerwood Hotel. So every couple of weeks, me and Dan would be down, seeing the Aberdeen boys and catching up and speaking to Jimmy C and Sandy and everybody else. So it was, although we'd kind of left, we hadn't really. We were still annoying the life at everybody.
Did you rub it into your brother that although he was captain once upon a time, you were the one that got the recall?
Aye, still doing it to this day. Excuse me. But as you can imagine, like I said, I was in the house and my phone had went. It was Jimmy, and just the usual. Desi, how are you doing? I'm like, I fine, great. How's yourself? Still call him Gaffer. Still call him Gaffer to this day. Fine, great. What's happening? He says, fine. Boys are looking good at pre-season. Boys are looking good. He says, what's happening with yourself, football-wise? I says, well, I've got so-and-so. It was Queen of the South, Dundee, I think it was Dundee, somebody else. Partick Thistle had a new manager. They were trying to re-sign me. And somebody else, I can't remember who it was. But I says, that's it. I says, I'm kind of just... In fact, there was, who was it? It might have been St Johnstone's or somebody as well. So I was kind of lingering, waiting for another agent to get back and speak to me. I says, but that's where I am with that. And I says, what's up? I says, what you palming off to me? I says, who you sending me to? Thinking he was phoning to do somebody a favour and find out what was happening. And he's like, look, he says, I've got 1 contract left. He says, I'm needing somebody that can fill in all over the place. Exact words, fill in all over the place. I know I can get a shift at them, and I can trust you on the pitch and all the rest of it. He says, and I was trying to figure out who me, Sandy, and Jimmy and Nick were trying to figure out what we were going to do with this last wage. He says, I've got my young boys. He says, I've got a couple of the older guys. He says, the boys that have been in and out Scotland teams and that as well. We've got Big Sevy in the Midley Park. This guy, that guy, really solid team. He says, what do you think? Would you come back up the road? And it's like I said, it's one of the phone calls where you're kind of, I'm walking about the house just looking, going, is this actually happening? Because if you're thinking about you're not thinking you're going to get back to Aberdeen, you know what I mean? You know yourself, Aberdeen's Aberdeen, you know what I mean? It's ridiculously huge, and anybody that leaves Aberdeen says the same thing. You don't actually realise how massive and how well you are looked after. You kind of just, like I said, they've been looking after me since I was 10 years old. But when you get up there and everything you do and they're looked after, you're in hotels, you're in a coach, you're getting fed, everything. You don't get that everywhere else. Some clubs you're driving yourself to games, you're doing all sorts of other things where you're kind of going, oh, I just thought that was the norm. This usually happened. So to get the phone call to go back up, and I says to him, I says, look, Jimmy, I'll start walking right now. I will come up right now and I'll chap your door at 3 a.m. and sign the contract. And he's like, right, he says, well, look, he says, I've got a problem. He says, there's a few guys on the board here that aren't happy that I've mentioned about you coming back. He says, it's not their fucking decision. He says, it's mine. He says, but I need to just make sure that you're on board and I can fling ahead. And he's saying to me, go and speak to Alison, your missus. He got on really well with my missus. And he's like, you better go and ask Alison, make sure it's all right. And I'm like, she'll be fine. We're all right. We'll come up the now. Don't worry about it. But what he says to me was, right, look, he says, leave it with me. He says, please, he says, don't mention it to anybody. And he says, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and then we'll take it from there. So it's like 2 days had passed, and I'm sitting, there's other managers phoning me like I said, and I'm going, making excuses, holding them off. And then he phoned me back 2 days later, and he's like, right, pack your fucking bags, you're coming up the road.
He was probably in the sunbed, that's what took him to the break.
But what he actually says to me was, he says, look, we're going to, I think they went to Egypt. I think so that Egypt were paying for it. I think they were. That's the only reason they got there.
Really?
But they went, aye. So
how does that work then? Sorry, do you know how that,
I don't, I've got no idea. It's a tourist board and all that are involved as well.
Really? I didn't know that.
Aye, it's something mad. But they got looked after anyway to go across there.
Wow.
And so he says, we're going there. He says, it's too late to get you in the plane and everything. He says, just keep yourself fit. He says, then he says, in a couple of days, he says, we're away. He says, but you get yourself up the road, do your medical, then go and see Wally Miller, sign your contract or whatever.
Get your fish.
Like that. So I was like, that's fine. I get your fish. So off I went up the road. But as you can imagine, I like I said, I still knew. I would still every so often come up to Aberdeen and go to one of the games and see Chris Clark and Michael Hart. And still come up. It's not as if I left and I hated the place. It was, you can imagine.
You didn't want to leave.
No, that was it. And it's true. And it's like I said. You can imagine if some fans sitting next to me looking, going, "Is he in here? Why is he back?"
It was surprising. I remember being a fan at the time. Yeah, well, I'm still a fan, but being at that age and thinking, "Hang on a minute here. Why were they signing his brother? Because he was the captain, and surely he was the guy that we would." And you were playing for Partick at the time, and I couldn't remember. But what I do remember is when you did sign and when you did play, you fucking blew me away with your performances. Personally, I thought you were incredible a second time around. Absolutely. And you played in Europe. Of course, you played the first time around. You played for a couple of games. You played against Hertha Berlin, but then the second time around, you played against Dnipro, where a certain diving header from Darren Mackey obviously secured us our next passage into the round. Yep. We may have got beat against Panathinaikos, but again, a great team to play against.
Everybody that was in that. I mean, the full group was ridiculous. I mean, it was well-known teams. It wasn't as if it's Panathinaikos. They play in Greece. They're a well-known team. If we'd get any kind of result there, it would have been ridiculous. It would have been amazing.
All joking aside, you just come from Partick Thistle, right? And you're playing Dnipro, Panathinaikos. You went on to play Lokomotiv Moscow, where Peter Odin-Wenge from West Brom and Branislav Ivanovic.
He
went on to Chelsea.
He actually scored, did he not?
He did. And Zander Diamond scored as well. Probably not for the first time in his life, but to be fair, looking at him, probably the only time. Now, another game that you played in was against Atletico Madrid. Now, okay, we lost, right? But you played against Thiago Motta, Sergio Aguero, Jose Antonio Reyes, Diego Forlan, Louis Garcia. Like, these guys played for Man City, Liverpool, Barcelona. Like, that was an incredible team. Okay, we lost, right? But we still went through because of a 4-0 win against Copenhagen, with Jamie Smith played out of his skin. Absolutely. And it led us on to our 2-2 Bayern Munich game at the Tondre. I remember being at Copenhagen and Bayern Munich, and home and away for Bayern Munich. Now, why were you not in those games, the last couple of games? And what do you remember of it?
What do I remember of the Europa?
So if we go back to Copenhagen, so the 4-0 home win.
The Copenhagen game, I had actually been out. That was the one I was saying. I'd done my knee for 3 months.
Right.
and I didn't think it was as bad. What I'd done to my knee, and then I think it was like a week later I'd kind of collapsed in training, try to do something. It was not even training. I'd collapsed when I was with the physio,
Wow.
and my knee wasn't right, so I ended up out for 3 months. So I missed that game, and I missed the Bayern Munich game or games. But the Copenhagen game, we were in a box. We used to get a nicer box kind of in the middle of the main stand and whatever else. Get well looked after there if you're one of the players, and up you went. But because there was that much, we were stuck in a box. Honestly, the furthest to the right hand side box. We've got this ridiculously rubbish view. All the players that are only playing are stuck in here because they're trying to sell all the seats. So the boys are. You wouldn't get in it now with that 2 meter distance. But you can imagine us all squished in this box, the boys that were only playing. But absolute chaos, just climbing on top of each other, just banging windows, just going off in one. And I think we started great, and it just kept going and getting better and better and better. And then Jamie starts doing whatever he wants with a football, and that's. And you'll know yourself, and I'm not bad mouthing him here because I like Jamie a lot, but we could have got so much more of that out of Jamie if he was not injured as much. He was an unbelievable player.
He was.
We had I think it was the Lokomotiv Moscow game. I'll tell you a story about that. There's a game, you might be able to prove me wrong, but we'll call it the Lokomotiv Moscow game. Myself and Michael Hart had been struggling with a couple of bad tackles at the weekend. And Jamie had been out for a good wee while. And Sharpie, the physio, Sharpie's John Sharp physio, is an absolute legend there, man. He's got us in on the Sunday treatment and all the rest of it. This game is on, it would have been a Thursday night. So he's looked after us Monday, Tuesday. On the Wednesday, it's fitness test time. So I kind of know I'm going to be fine. But he set out this demon running track thing just to make sure everything's right, and it's a beasting. So there's myself, Mick, and Jamie. So we're doing our running in this thing, right? It's an absolute doing, blowing out your arse. Jamie's got a cigar out, right? We're doing laps of the cricket pitch, just across from Pittodrie, where I am. So we're laps of that. You need binoculars to see Jamie. He's miles away. He's doing what he wants. Jumped onto something else, quick feet, all this sort of other stuff. So it's an absolute doing. So we finished, and me and Michael, we're more or less lying on our back, dying, right? Just not mean. But Sharpie's like, how are you? He's like, fucking dying. Jesus Christ, Sharpie, you're going to kill us here. We've got a game tomorrow night. I don't care. How's your injury? Like, it's fine. I'll be all right. No bother. Now, Jamie's next to us, not a bead of sweat. Done us for training. I mean, laps and laps of this pitch for fun. He's like, I'm feeling it a wee bit, John. I'm feeling it a wee bit. He's absolutely smoked us at every run. Absolutely done us. He's like, I could just, that way you can I just feel it in the back. It's in the background there. I can just feel it. It's just not right. Me and Mick turned around and looked at him going, are you fucking kidding us on? I said, Jamie, you need to be fit. You're fit. You're miles in front of us. Your injury's all right. You can get through. If you can get through that, you'll get through 90 minutes because Sharpie's a maniac. And he's like, and he never played this game. It was like, it's just a bit sore. Like, for fuck's sake. So we needed more of the Jamie that was, having a wonder game against Copenhagen than the Jamie that was, that's a wee bit sore. I don't know if I'll make that. Like, fucking. So there was two sides, and I said, I don't know if any of you have ever met Jamie, a lovely guy, would do anything for you. Family man, liked a glass of red wine. Doesn't make him a bad person. In fact, there's a wee glass of red up there.
There's a few.
I like that. There he is.
Someone's got a game tomorrow as well.
Right.
Aye, we're back
magnificent, superb.
Yeah. The run ended against Bayern Munich. We did well, 2-2 at Pittodrie, and Josh Walker, Sonny Aluko. What an incredible game that was. And then we went to Munich, and it was 5-1, and I can remember being on the tube personally and doing David Hasselhoff impressions because they love fucking David Hasselhoff in Germany. Right. Fucking, I'm looking for freedom, right? They were loving it on the tube, right? At least I think so. But yeah, we lost 5-1, but that team consisted of like Lucas Podolski, Tony Cruz, Luca Toni, Oliver Kahn, Miroslav Klose, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Mark van Bommel. Like it was just it's just like a completely
fairy tale. It's a fairy
it's
tale.
off the wall, like kind of a player that you were up against. And it was also the same year that Rangers finished. They got to the final, and thankfully they got beat. Sorry, the Rangers got to the final and got beat.
The old one.
Aye, got beat 2-0 against Zenit St. Petersburg. So thank fuck for that. You had some time in Iceland, obviously, you know, after your time in Dunfermline and Partick and Aberdeen, and the training facilities across your time there. You know, Cormac Park's come on board. We've asked all of the guests who've been on board so far what they think of Cormac Park. It's hard to get. Cormac Park seems like a lot of pitches and some training facility, some sort of room rather full of gym equipment. It's uncovered. It's certainly an improvement on training down a beach or Seaton Park.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, you've been in Iceland, you've been in some of the sort of first division championship clubs, and you've also played at Dunfermline and Aberdeen. Based on your time at Aberdeen and your training facilities when you were a player, in Cormac Park now, and potentially what Cormac Park could be, where does Cormac Park stack up? And certainly, I get in Iceland.
Iceland, it wasn't the place I stayed in Iceland. It was a place called Grindavik, and it's like a fishing village. But most of Iceland's kind of built on lava, solid lava rock. But they've got big indoor facilities everywhere, and they actually have, like, when it is horrendous. I was only there. I was there for a month, but there was 5 games. It was actually Robbie Winters that brought me over, because I was between clubs, we'll call it. And I thought, right, if I can get there and keep fit, he says to me, he says, look, there's 5 games to play. He says, and what they'll do is when it gets to the end of the month, it was August. He says to me, the club will just release you. We'll just release your contract, and that means you're back. You're free again, and you can go and sign for somebody back home. So that's what I done. I went away and played the 5 games. But some of these facilities where, like I said, when it gets really bad, they play an indoor league between the teams. So they've all got these big ridiculous. It's not like fancy outside, but once you get inside, it's exactly what you need. It's a full size pitch, ridiculous height. And they're everywhere. They're just everywhere. Everybody's got them. Your local boys club's got one. Everybody gets a wee shot of this and gets a shot of that.
Do you think that's what we need at Cormac
Park?
Park?
What you've said there is, you can imagine, everything's got shown up. The fancy videos have been rolled out. Everybody's looking at all these nice pitches and all the rest of it. The first thing I said, where's the indoor? Where's the indoor pitch? Because as soon as it does, it does get ridiculously bad, and there's stages where you can't actually go in the grass and you can't go in the Astro. So the club end up going to Sports Village, next to Pretoria, and using that, and they have done so still, and it's still on standby for when winter comes again.
It drives me fucking nuts.
I think the Astro, it can get down to, is it -2 or something? I think it can get down to -2, something stupid like that, and then it's done. But don't get me wrong. What I'll say about it is, it's a million miles away from what it used to be. If you can imagine, when I was younger, even when you were in the first team, you were maybe building goals still, when you were collecting balls, and you were maybe doing whatever. We used to actually, believe it or not, I would have been 1996, 97. we were still training at Seaton Park. Most of these will maybe remember Seaton Park.
Is it still got the train?
Right, but I'm not sure. But the actual goals, our goalposts used to be in the army barracks bit there. See, right at the start of it.
Yeah.
It was also the guys you would press a button and hope that a guy would open the gates. But if the guy never opened the gates, you had to jump over this. Remember, you've got your boots on, you've got your moulded boots on.
Oh my God.
And you would have to get over this fence. The fences get like points on it. So you'd go over the other side, try not kill yourself, and then you would try to be balancing. Somebody would be at the bottom, somebody would be standing on the middle bit where you're trying to not kill yourself, and then somebody would be at the other side. So you were trying to fold maybe 4 sets of goals. So you've got
That's mad.
2 big mental post bits at the side, and then you've got 4 crossbars as well, trying to organise that. So that's what used to happen there.
I mean, at least you've got your own grass now, I guess. But
well, the thing is with the first team, the pitch that they've got is one of these. I think the pitch was 800 grand. The actual grass, the pitch, the all singing, all dancing. It's incredible.
So you just got the guys in for the Beach Grove Garden. They would have done a cheaper bet. It is fucking mad though that in the coldest place on earth we don't have it covered.
Yep. But they've got that. They've got 2 full pitches and a half pitch.
Aye. For
the first team and the reserves. They've got the 2 AstroTurfs for academies and if the reserves and that are using it during the day. So the academies and that. But the thing that kills me, and it sounds a bit selfish, but you know where I'm coming from. At night, when I'm on it with the academy boys, as you can imagine, I'm there. I've got the under 16s. I mean, this is Aberdeen's. We've spent. By the way, it's now up to £14 million they've spent on it.
Yeah,
it's not the 12. We're at 14. But anybody can come now. Anybody can come in after it now. Anybody can come in and hire the place.
At Cormac Park.
Aye. It destroys me. Do you know what? The club probably make a right good bit of money out of it. But if you can imagine, you've went through all that to you're now kind of coaching the kids, and you look over and there's the Red Lion with our 12 boys. Yeah. They're kicking balls onto your pitch and then running over and getting the ball off your pitch, and they're the side of the pitch going at that one, looking at their watch. When are this boy's finishing? And you're kind of thinking. And this is me being selfish on it, but I know I can. There's 2 sides to it. But I've waited a million years for this, like yourselves. For this is ours. I just want that to be ours, and let us deal with it.
It doesn't happen at Murray Park. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't
happen. There's a pile of places it doesn't happen at.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be.
It's in the middle of West Hill, and the pitches get used all the time.
And that's absolute fucking madness. Really.
Like I said, there's
Champions League is available for the first and the second finish of this league, and that is millions and millions of pounds, and that is far beyond.
And I've mentioned that, so it's nothing that's not been said before. It just it annoyed me to think, hold on, why am I waiting for some guys giving me the eyes to go off the pitch? This is my pitch.
Fuck it, it's hard, very hard to hear.
But like I said, it's the reverse side of that is there's not enough AstroTurf pitches going about, and we need millions more of them. And it gets folk for West Hill and other teams round about actually training on decent surfaces. So that's the flip side.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? To me, there's enough space there.
Aye.
Go and build another 2. Rent a life out them at the road. Where the stadiums was meant to be going. I think they're obviously pushing for down at the beach now, which is where I would put it.
Yeah.
But there's enough space there now that if they could go right. There's 2 or 3 Astros. Just rent a life out them. Go. Just leave these 2 for us.
Yeah.
Put a roof on one of them, for God's sake.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, stop the fucking sports village nonsense.
Aye.
Put a tent above it. It's so simple. I've got 3 quick questions before I open it up to the rest of the group. So, right. So we're gonna put you in a spot now. We're gonna play. We're gonna play a quick fire question thing. So it's called Shagger and Shouter. So
Right, okay.
who was the quietest in your time of football? Who was the Lothario? And who was the guy that was fucking mental during your time? So who was the quietest person in your time when you played football?
One of the quietest is still there, Big Andy.
Andy Considine.
Aye, Big Andy was quiet.
Have you seen his video? Have you seen his video? Aye.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But once Andy's out and he's had a couple of drinks in him, Andy turns into somebody else.
Fuck me.
Whatever her name is, whatever he called himself.
Aye. Have you seen Derek? Probably this is a good time for me to share something with you.
It's horrific.
So we've got a flag that we've made up on behalf of the Aberdeen FC teams of London. Right. I'm going to show you this flag. Hold on. I need to get to my desktop. Hold on. So basically, we've got a flag made up, and it is in the spirit of Andy Considine and all that he brings to this club. So this is what we've had made up as a 4 meters.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's going to be getting displayed at Pataudry quite soon.
Have you spoke to Andy? Does Andy know that's going up?
He's being asked at the moment. Apparently, it's got to be approved. So we'll see. We'll see. But if you get...
I think you could get away with it if you change the picture.
Well, the picture has to stay because he was the one that fucking put it up in the first place.
I think it was his mate Dunham.
Oh, really?
His mate Dunham tight.
I don't know. He's turning me on in that video, but anyway. So he's the quiet one. Who's the shagger?
I'm trying to think really quiet. I'm trying to think. The shagger.
Who's the shagger? Who's the one who's like, hey, I'm fucking Mr. Big? Is it Paul Bernard?
Paul. He was only here a short time, but and he was a good friend of mine. He stayed close to me. I was one of his good mates. Ben Thornley. In fact, I think he came out in his. He mentioned it in his book.
Did he? He's got a fucking book. Ben Thornley's got a book. Well, okay. I remember Ben Thornley turning up in his Ferrari with his flip flops. I remember that.
Paul Bernard.
Paul Bernard. Yeah. What did Ben Thornley have? Did he have a Cortina?
Ben had. This is right. Ben, like you said, when he signed, I'll tell you a story about that as well. Ben came up, and he just signed, and he was in, and I was talking about him a couple of days. He was in a hotel somewhere, and I had just moved to Riverside Drive, new flats that were built there at the time.
Fancy.
And he was saying to me, he says, I says, I've just moved to flats at Riverside Drive, nice, looks onto the water and all the rest of it. And he's like, aye. He says, is there any left? I was like, I don't know. I says, they're still kind of building on a bit. He says, oh, can you take me up? So I thought, no problem. Took him up, seen the woman's like, there's 2 flats left. He's like, all right. He says, is there any chance I could see them? Now, Ben, if you remember, Ben had a big payoff because he'd done his knee in. So Ben had got something like, I don't know if it was close to £2 million or £1 million, something like that.
What, was that insurance?
Yeah, sorry, aye, insurance payoff.
Was that before or after he signed for Aberdeen?
Before.
It fucking explains a lot.
Right, it does. But let's say I was a good mate, so we'd went in and seen the flat, and he's like, the boom is that, so we've got a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom one. He says, oh, well, let me see the 3. And Rooney went, had a look at it, and he went, yeah, I'll take it, no problem. And how much is it? I think it was like 75 grand or something at the time. This was, what was that, 2007? Like I said, I was just black. No, it wasn't 2007. When was that? 22, 23? 2002, something like that. So a good while ago. The house prices up here are ridiculous and wild. But so she's like, are you sure you want it? He's like, aye, I've seen it. I've had a look around it. That's fine. I'll take it. So the woman's looking at me like that with her arms out. That was easy. It's easy. I'm trying. I'm like, you sort me out a bit of money there. I've sorted you. But I took him up the next day. he never had a car up, so I took him up the next day and to see the woman again. And she's like, "Did you manage to sort out a mortgage and everything?" He went, "Oh no," he says, "I've got my checkbook here, 70," and he's on it. He says, "I hate doing this." He's like writing all these checks. I says, "Ben, I've never wrote £75,000 only and just handed it to somebody." That's what he done.
Wow.
£75,000 only. Pay whoever. Holmes. There you go. There's your check.
Nice.
I was just standing with my hands out going, did that just actually happen? What's going on here?
That's obviously your wage nowadays when you're the youth coach at Aberdeen.
Aye.
So who was the men, like, because this is the thing that kind of bugs me. Like, Scott Brown is the kind of player that I think will be fucking brilliant for Aberdeen, because he's not going to accept any shite. Right? He'll be an absolute fucking nut job. Who, if anyone, over your time was the loudest, most fucking influential, get this shit fucking done? Was there anyone like that?
There's when like I said, more when I was younger, it was more like Dodsey and Ian Jess as well, which maybe you wouldn't think so, but he was obviously a bit older. Jesse was at it as well.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, John Ingalls there. They would kind of be the ones that would stick out more with me. That was kind of, when they were saying stuff, you were like, oh, like I said, you were more a younger guy then. I can't think of one that was maybe. You got boys that would maybe come in if it was a bad game or they had a bad game and they were kicking off all the place just to make it look, you know what I mean, try to take the pressure off themselves.
And that kind of, in fairness, right, that sort of sums up for me the last 20 years of Aberdeen football, because there's nobody who stood out and gone, this is fucking shit, we're going to fix it. I think Scott Brown would be that kind of character.
Derek White would do it.
Really?
And he would do it whether he had a bad game or a good game or whatever. It was more White. He was the captain at the time as well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say even the boys that I played with, like I said, 2007, 2008, in the Europa League, that was you were shouting, but there wasn't anybody losing it. Like you said, as you would imagine, ready to tip the place upside down. There wasn't.
I think Scott Brown's probably that kind of guy, is he?
He probably is, and he'll have his own high standards when he comes in, and so will Stevie. And if you can, even like, I know he's not had too much coaching background, but I'd like to think he's got enough in his locker now that he's been about England and he can bring a hell of a lot to the club. That's for sure.
I think if Harry Kane gives you a testimonial, there's something there, isn't there?
Yeah, you're doing something right, aye.
Just before I open up to the rest of the guys, if anyone's got any questions, keep it. We're coming to you in a minute. So, are you still in Newton Hill? Is that where you are?
Still here, yeah. Still here, yep.
So I'm curious. Back in the day, I remember Derek White, and I used to work for Team Recruitment. So Dean Windass used to get sponsored by us, and Bexbar, where one of my friends, Kevin, who's on this call tonight, used to work. And Bexbar was very much the place to go. I miss Bexbar. But anyway.
You're not the only one.
Hey. But where would you, after the game, whether win, lose or draw, right? Because I remember seeing you fuckers out there, whether you lost or drew. I only ever thought you should be out after a win. But anyway, right, Bexbar was a place. Charlie's in Soul Bar wasn't he? I don't think it existed back then.
That wasn't back then.
No, it wasn't.
It depends what time you're talking.
Yates's used to be about. Amadeus was about.
Amadeus was decent.
I'm curious, what was your after a game? If you win, lose or draw, where did you go then? And now that you're in Newton Hill, with a wife and a couple of kids, what's a typical night out for you now?
Back then, if we would go out, we would probably maybe go for something to eat. I used to go to the Chinese in Union Street.
Oh yeah.
That was brilliant. We knew they did Kenny in there. They got the boy in there. He was brilliant. So he used to look after us, and then we'd go round the corner to, I don't know what it's called now. It used to be Blue Bar. that right? Blue
Oh,
Bar.
Blue Bar. Fuck.
And
Yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
Galleria place.
Oh,
The
Galleria.
Galleria.
Yeah. No
Is that
Blue
what it's
Bell.
called?
Yeah.
I think it's called Tonic now or something. I might be wrong.
It's probably shit now compared to what it used to be.
Aye. And then for there round to we used to go to Paramount, and then
Did you ever piss on a Rangers player?
the videos in there.
Aye,
Videos in there.
in the urinals. Class.
And then
Good to hear.
once that finished, the boy that owned the place, he would kind of open the back doors, and the boys
Mike
would
Wilson,
just bring
Paramount.
like straight out the back door to Ministry,
Ministry.
and then
Right,
straight up the stairs into Ministry.
yeah. And
That was more the typical. That's where the boys would be. If they were doing every so often, you would manage to get the Sunday Club up and running.
What was the
and
Sunday Club?
You'd the Ferry Hill Hotel, maybe meet there. Simpsons.
Oh, aye.
So you'd maybe start at Simpsons, watch a couple of games, and then make your way down the town. End up in the Ferry Hill, having something to eat. Kidding on, you're having something to eat, but it's bevy. And then darting back up onto Union Street and just wherever you can find. Sundays were touch and go back then. It was sometimes it was busy enough. Other times it was just 5-6 of the boys. Just you've got the time to go and do it. So there was maybe not a game middle of the week, or it was an international break or something. So you get away with it.
Did you get a lot of shags being a footballer?
If Peter Crouch can do it, so can I.
Yeah, Peter Crouch, in fairness, is an absolute legend with some of the shit he comes out with. You're obviously, you know what, you've got a wife.
I've got 2 kids.
What's a night out like for you now then?
To be honest, I like getting out into town. Obviously, a year ago it used to be a hell of a lot better, but I would go to, as usually sober.
Yeah.
And is it Orchid round the back or so? Was it Orchid? Or Dusk, sorry. Dusk.
Half of these bars are probably
in the back of there.
We don't even know if
they were called something else back in the day, but they've kind of changed around a bit now.
Yeah.
But it's more of a, as you can imagine, it's more of a civilised carry on.
I was sitting down in a glass.
To be fair, I'll tell you one of the last times I was at, this is the truth, I was out with my missus, our pal and our partner, and we were in Dusk or whatever it was I'm saying there. Some boy wouldn't leave me alone, fancied the life at me, this is the truth. Wouldn't leave me. I kept saying to him, I said, that's my missus, and he's going, that's okay though, it's fine. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So this ended up going on for the rest of the night. And we'd kind of managed to get rid of this guy, and we'd managed to get a seat kind of down at the front bar of the place. So we managed to get 4 kind of high seats, and there was a spare seat next to me. And I kid you not, out of nowhere, my wee friend appears with a bottle of champagne, 2 glasses with strawberries in them, came up and sat next to me. I was like, what's happening here? Like, you know, imagine my missus, she's crying, everybody's doing about is crying, you know what I mean? And he's still trying to chat to me. I was like, oh my God. So I still get hammered for that to this day.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I had a boy telling me, he's shouting away in my ear, I've got my gay friend this side, and I've got an Aberdeen fan absolutely out his tray at this side. At the same time, trying to slip me cocaine into my hat. That's the God's honest truth. And I'm like, I must say, that way I kind of looked down and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I just about decked him. He's about 3 times the size of me as well. I was like, what a night out this has turned out to be. What is going on?
You got cracks in both sides.
I was away back next week. How's it going? How's everybody? But honestly, I was like, what the hell's going on in here? But it's been a while, so I think we're all needing a good night and a good laugh.
I think in fairness, and to bring on to my last point, tonight's been all about sharing experiences with football fans, to the point where if anyone is struggling, they can reach out and talk, and that's what you've done tonight. And that we applaud you. We really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking to come on, and when you spoke to me about it, I thought that's ideal. I've actually done one already as well, and I loved it. It's good. And the thing is, I don't mind being honest about things. It's no hard, and I think fans kind of appreciate that when you've got nothing to hide.
Really.
Everything's happened. There's facts there. There's nothing that's lies about anything. There's stories that you hear left, right, and centre. There's maybe something that the guys are maybe going to ask, and I'll be able to put them straight about something.
Yeah. But no, you're right. It's
a tough time, and if we can come on and have a laugh and have a drink and all the rest of it, it takes a bit of pressure off and lets us relive a few good memories back in the day as well. Honestly, even seeing that wee video, that 5-minute video of that Celtic game, it's cheered me right up. It's buzzing, absolutely buzzing it.
We've got a tie-in with the club, Rob Wicks, who's going to do a future one of these as well.
Rob's brilliant, honestly.
Yeah,
I've met Rob 2 or 3 times, and he's every time I've seen him, and he keeps saying to me, he says, Derek, I know you're just down there because the coaching's part-time, but I'm in quite a lot. But he's like, if we can ever help you with anything at all, he's saying to me, he says, just let us know. He says, we want you to run about the club, and we want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, he's so nice. There's a different, he's a guy that he's not an Aberdeen guy. Like, he's not born in Aberdeen or Scotland, but he's so involved and so invested. And
people say that he gets it. He gets what it is. It's one of those things. He gets exactly what they're trying to do, and he's trying his best.
And this call is generally, as I said, it's been about sharing experiences, and anyone who's struggling with mental health issues, of which I've been there myself. A few years ago, I was struggling, and it took some discussions with some people for me to realize I even had an issue.
And I think that's that's sometimes the main problem is that you maybe don't think it is an issue until somebody breaks it down for you, and you kind of go, oh, hold on, that sounds about right.
And I mean, you left Aberdeen, and you had this massive amount of hatred towards you because the people thought you were jumping ship because it was more money. But, there was a number of reasons that your wages got cut in half. Your dad was suffering from cancer, and he sadly passed away. And when someone doesn't love you, as in how it was at Pittodrie, what are you going to do? Like, you had a number of reasons to leave. And you chose that, and that's your experience, and that would have definitely affected your mental health at that point, because you didn't want to leave Aberdeen, did you?
No, I don't. And that's, like I said, that's the honest answer. I would have still been there forever. But circumstances made it not happen. But it's a hard one, because, like I said, you've been there for 7 years. And then all of a sudden things are changing, but you don't know change. You've never had change before.
Yeah.
So you're just thinking about it in your head. You're kind of going, right, is this the right decision? I think the big thing for me was, I always had Dan with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dan's always been there next to me, and we've done everything together and whatnot. And so there was a lot of discussions with me and him, just kind of going, right, is this the right thing to do? Are we going to be all right? Like I said, it was. You've got somebody, like I said, we were talking about Jimmy. Jimmy trusts you 100%. We've been offered 3-year deals, and the team's going to kick on, and we're going to be sitting near the top end of the league and all the rest of it. So that kind of, you know what I mean?
That's it. It
helps you.
It helps your mentality, it helps your processing skills, and that's what this call's been about tonight. It's about getting football fans considering the fact that we can share experiences, and you know what? There's no stigma. You've opened up in a great deal, and we really, really appreciate that. And the one final thing I've got before I ask anyone else who's got any questions is, John Hewitt, Brian Irvin, Alex McLeish, they've all said that next time they're in London, now Alex McLeish lives in London, so he's got no excuse, but next time they're in London, they're going to pull on the Aberdeen jersey, and they're going to come out, whether it's a rolling sub or a good 90 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it's going to be. So the question is to you, Derek Young, when next time you're in Aberdeen, will you turn up on a Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, probably after we've taken you out on a Saturday night and got you pished in London? Will you put on the Aberdeen top and play for
I
us?
would 100%.
Fucking fantastic. Right.
100%.
We've got a game in 15 hours. So get the sleeper.
How many folk have you got in the team?
Well, we've got 13 for tomorrow. We've got space for one more sub tomorrow.
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
Boundaries. If it was Jimmy C that had phoned, I would have been running. I'd have been running.
You said you would walk, but no. All joking aside, I'll keep in touch.
No, that would be great. That would be brilliant. Honestly, God, that's.
We got this season's strips that were given. Well, they were supplied to us via Rob Wicks.
Right, brilliant.
So we've got this season's strips, and you know what, we probably play like the relegation team at the moment on a Sunday, but we're invested, and you know what, we are in it to spend time with each other and enjoy football. And so it'd be great. We'll keep in touch, and if there's an opportunity for you to come down to London, we'll make it happen.
I'd love it. Brilliant.
Look after you. We'll get you in the King's Road, a couple of members bars. I'll get you fucking.
Now we're talking. There you go. I'm there. You've said the right words.
Absolutely. So now's the time where I'm going to go for a pee, but I'm going to open it up to anyone else in the call who would like to ask Derek a question. So if you want to ask Derek a question, please press the raise hand or put two hands in the air and I'll come to you. And I just need to open this up. Right, Callum, go for it. Unmute yourself and go for it.
I was just going to say, you've obviously played with a lot of really good footballers and played against a lot, especially like Adam's alluding to Atletico and stuff. The margins seem really fine, all of you at the top level.
Yeah.
Look at Andy Robertson, for example, nearly didn't make it at Queen's Park. And all of a sudden, he's maybe the best left back in the world or whatever. The margins seem really fine between that. I just wonder who you think the player that's made the most of their career in terms of the person that's made absolutely the most that you've played with, and also in terms of both professionally and in a shagging sense.
Who's been on and done extremely well? I'll give you a couple, but one of them who I thought would never kick on, and he's now playing international football and he's now playing for Hull, and he's a good mate of mine, is Josh McGuinness. Obviously he was a goalkeeper. He came to us. He was just a big boy that bounced about, and I'm not saying that he's an unbelievably top international player, but he's from where I left him at Aberdeen to, if I think back to when I was leaving Aberdeen, my contract was up, and it was Josh and a few others still had years in their contract, and it was Craig Brown and Archie Knox were the managers, the assistant manager. So probably the last, on it, the word won't lie, the last 4 games of the season, every time we come in and we'd either drew or we won one game, I think we get beaten, drew the rest. Craig Brown would come in and he would shake everybody's hand and say, well done and thanks for going out there and doing whatever. And we had 10 corners, they only had 2. We had 15 shots in goal, they only had 2. We get beat 2-0. The stats didn't thingy. So that's how Craig Brown went with it. Archie used to go the other way. Stop talking shite, Craig. We were fucking hopeless. And he would say it. And honestly, for 4 weeks in a row, he went, see you, McGuinness, you better get yourself a good fucking agent. He says, you're fucking out of here. 4 weeks in a row. And he would, to be fair to him, he wasn't doing well. And he was just a big boy that he always used to say to him, see if you'd had half a brain, you would be dangerous. You would be, honestly, you big, strong, powerful. If everything would just click in that head, there's a player buried in there somewhere, but I didn't think it would ever come out. And he's kicked on. He's kicked on and done really well. The other one that done great was, and I thought he might have kicked on again, was Kevin McNaughton. And Kev he was one of these wee guys. He just, every time you seen him, he looks like he just come out his bed, and he would come into training and he would just stroll through it. He would go into the game on a Saturday. He would look all nervous. and he would go up that right hand side and he would just stroll through it. And then he's moved to Cardiff, and he's an absolute hero there, an absolute hero. And I was expecting him to kick on even more at one stage. Like you're saying, it's maybe the same with him. It was like with Andy Robertson. There's maybe managers in the league that were maybe thinking like the Premiership League, they maybe have went, we'll maybe take a wee chance on Kevin, and I think Kevin could have kicked on again, but he never quite get the chance to. But he did an unbelievable career. He done well, but yep. Top shaggers, were you going with again there? Who am I flinging under the bus here?
I mean, who's made the most of their football career to become a top shagger that they maybe otherwise wouldn't have been? I suppose is the.
I'll actually go. See, when I was at Dunfermline, I'm going to stick this one out. When I was at Dunfermline, we used to go quite a lot in Glasgow, and it was Charlie Adam. Now, Charlie could haunt houses, you know what I mean? One of their faces. But anytime I seen him in Glasgow, one here, one there, just
really
10 out of 10s. You will just stand and shake your head, going, "What's going on here?" But we play with Rangers. So.
I guess that's what happening. You got a bit of money behind you. Our own Eamon, who you can see on the call right now. Can you see Eamon? You see,
yep.
Yeah, he's like.
See the quiet assassin.
I'm surprised he isn't in your youth team because he's only like 14. So you can see that chair. That chair is bigger than he is. Neil's got a question. So on you go, Neil.
Aye, it was just a quick question for you from an academy side of things, Derek. My eldest is quite a good footballer, and it was just really any advice that you would, anything you kind of advice you could give him as a young player that I can pass on. I'll say I'll go to Derek Young. He might listen rather than tell me to shut up.
What age is he?
He's 12. He's been doing a bit of training. He's been doing a bit of training with Rangers. Actually, these guys will be happy to hear that. So he's not bad, but
I think the thing is when he goes in, it just needs to be saying, to be listening and taking everything in and working hard. I think that's the thing that from that age, they need to see that the kids are. We used the word earlier on there. They need to be invested in it. It's not just they're kind of turning up, and if they see that the kids at it and they're every week and 100 mile an hour, the big red face after training because he's been listening to everything and doing everything. It goes a long way. And see if he's got the talent. See if he's got the talent. That the coaches will see that they'll be on it. They'll be on it straight away.
Cool.
And 9 times out of 10, they'll make sure if somebody's got that amount of talent and maybe a wee bit slacking here and there, they'll usually jump on it. But it's the old one. It's working hard. It is. If you go in and you're working hard, and I still say it to the boys at under 16s, 17s, you come in here and stand a bit, you're better off the other side of that fence because you're not going to get into Comic Park standing about in a football pitch. So yeah, in practice, that's the one thing. It's probably massively missing at the moment for probably most places in the world is kids have got something else to go and do.
Derek,
they've always got. My son's the same. My son's 10, and I mean I'm going to set the PlayStation and his phone on fire. So
I know how you feel.
Derek, where could have you got open? Have you got an open route for trials for Neil's kid? Is there something you could recommend to him where he could get in front of you or an agent or something?
From an agent.
An opportunity.
I think
for some trials or something.
The way I get through it, there's a boy Liam McGarry. He's kind of head of everything at that age group. Him and Gavin Levy. They do with all that. So if what ends up happening if a kid gets mentioned, it gets passed through to the scouts. The scouts go and check 2-3 games or something, and then they'll feed back to the coaches, and then it's maybe a good idea. I think they usually, I think you can maybe get in for 6 weeks or something. 6-week trial, and it goes from there.
There you go, Eamon. Chance for you yet.
Too late, son.
For the sake of the fact that he's on the call tonight, is there any chance you could put a word in for Neil? Get his kid checked out.
Done for me.
All joking aside, check those fucking dreadlocks. We might have another Eugene Daddy on our hands.
You never know. You never know.
Maybe that night out you're talking about, we'll get the train up and running, we'll get him to the front of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Right, who else has got a question?
Back anyway.
Craig, did you have a question? All right. So Neil, if you just mute yourself, and Craig, if you
cheers, Neil. Thanks.
If you unmute yourself, Craig.
So,
thank you.
Cheers, Derek. Could you summarise your time under Mark McGee and Scott Leach? Mark should have got the Celtic job. If you look him up on Wikipedia, you'll find all about him. So I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that.
That's a great question, Derek.
Can you still see me? Because the video link, my videos went down this side.
No, we can still see you. So put your clothes back on.
I can't see you. I don't know what's happening.
All right, okay.
It just changed.
Are you if you want to go off and come back on again?
Is that all right? Will that work?
Yeah,
right,
go
I'll do
for
it
it.
now.
We're still live. We're still live.
Cool. All right, 2 seconds.
You're still there. You're still there in the game, by the way. You're still there, Derek. You haven't come off yet.
I mentioned somebody mentioned that cunt McGee.
That cunt McGee. Are you can you see us now?
Oh, I can. Can you see me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Mark McGee, no. Hopeless, rubbish.
Arrogant. Is arrogant the right word?
Yeah. The thing that I noticed, which wasn't ideal, was usually managers and assistant managers and everybody in the gets, like, all the staff that work in the place, everybody always gets on, everybody knows everybody, and they seem to, but straight from the off, even the girls at reception desk and everything, straight away they were like, this guy's a clown. Honestly, we were in about a month and they were like arrogant, all the rest of it, blah blah blah. Even folk that worked up the stairs in finance and different folk had different stories about him. I thought, Jesus.
Was it sorry to interrupt, but was it that he came across as though he didn't know what he was doing, or was it that he came across as a big time Charlie and he thought he knew what he was doing?
He thought he was getting the Celtic job, and then he ended up.
Yeah,
Aberdeen. And he highlighted that. He actually highlighted that at one point in the meeting quite early on.
Yeah.
But he's
to the squad or to just
to the boys at a meeting. You can imagine everybody's kind of going, did that actually sound right there? Did he just say he's at us because he never get the Celtic job? Is that what he just?
Oh my God!
So you were. I'll fast forward to that. So he's come in. Pre-season's not been great. There's not been enough training.
Did you go to Tenerife or some exotic?
We went to Austria the first pre-season, and he was in. I mentioned this to some podcast thing the other day, and one of the things he done was we were there probably 2 days, and he put a tactics board up on the wall, and it was like a 4-3-3 formation or whatever. But as you can imagine, you've maybe got 18 boys there. There's maybe 2 young boys for youth reserves, but the rest of the boys are 14 boys and whatever else. So we've got your new manager in. Everybody's trying to make a good impression and doing well enough or whatever. And he starts going through the team. He's like, right, we've got Big Jamie in the goals, right back, maybe Fozzie, Richard Foster.
In fairness, Jamie Langfield was clangers,
but then he went like, he mentioned one of the centre halves, missed out the next centre half, missed out the left back, mentioned somebody that can play right back, right mid, mentioned Kelso and maybe Gary. Who's also Gary McDonald. So he was naming a team, but missed out about a third there, as if I've not got anybody to play in these positions. So you've maybe got a left back and a centre half sitting next to each other, going, "Are we not getting a game? Why are we not on this board?"
Why do you miss?
And it was like there was like no strikers. No, in fact, he had Big Lee Miller up front, and I think on the left hand side was like wee Shawnee Aluko, but there was nobody on the right. There was like there was like a third of the team missing or something, and it was like he's looking at everybody with his arms open, going, that's what we've got. That's where we are with this team. Nobody's kicked a ball yet from us. There's not been any games. We've not had a pre-season game. We've just been doing a very, very bad pre-season, which half it he got wrong. When we were doing running, he had all the times wrong because nobody could get in the times. You had Mark Kerr. Mark Kerr's got 3 lungs, right? Mark Kerr's one of the fittest guys in the world.
Really? Because he came across as the shittest captain that you've ever seen.
And Mark Kerr couldn't get in the times of these runs. So,
wow.
So a lot of it was wrong, and it's got Leach in. I got on well with Leach. Leach kind of respected that I was one of the older guys there.
In fairness, though, wasn't he a fucking wanger? Because
to a lot of people he was. He wasn't to me, but a lot of people he was. But the thing with him as well was he had never really been an assistant manager in that either as well.
No,
so it was all
history, and
it was
a
riot.
It was shit.
So it was a big mess, and I went in and seen him and says, "What's the problem?" And he says, "There's no problem." I says, "Well, I'm not making any, not doing too much in this pre-season." I says, "I'm sitting on the bench. I'm not even coming on." And then, in fact, I'll tell you the crackery one of them. So I've put him. We were playing Peterhead before with the European game. We were playing somebody in the Europe. We get battered 5-1 in a European game, or 5-0. But we played Peterhead. I think it was in the midweek, or it was in the Saturday.
The Sigma.
And
Sigma.
So I thought I spoke to him, and like I said, I wasn't been in his plans so far, and I spoke to him maybe in the Thursday, the Friday before the Saturday game, and he says there wasn't any problem. There's still time to get minutes and all the rest of it. So I thought I must be playing in the Peterhead game. Played Peterhead game, sat on the bench, come on at half time in the Peterhead game, so I was still 9 minutes. So basically, and this is a word without a lie, the boys, and like I said, at pre-season you should never be able, you shouldn't have to go and try and make yourself fit. There was myself and 2 or 3 other boys running around the pitch doing like 8-minute runs and stuff to keep ourselves fit, because we knew ourselves we hadn't done enough in pre-season. I wasn't getting enough minutes in the games anyway to be ready to play a game. And so the way it went, because the pre-season was all over the place, we ended up with a lot of boys injured, I'm sure. And we never had a right back. So he pulls me on the Wednesday, because I think we were in. The game was on the Thursday. Pulls me in. Like I said, we've hardly been the best of pals. We've no fell out. We didn't fight, but we weren't. Pulls me in and asks me, he says, "Hey, how you doing? You feeling all right?" I says, "Well, I've not really done much pre-season. I've done all the runs, but I've not played any game time, blah, blah, blah." I says, "I think I should be getting a lot more." He says, "Oh, well, there's a good chance you might be playing tomorrow night." He says, "Would you mind playing right back?" I'm like, a minute ago I was out the door. Now I'm playing right back. I was like, well, I says, I've never played there before in my life. I says, but if we're struggling, I'll play right back. It's fine. So, long story cut short, he turns up for the game the Thursday. I'm in the team. I'm playing right back. Had to kick my arse at pre-season, and I can remember he'd said before the game, somebody had asked about the boys, how was this other team, and it was like, they're a middle of the table, like League One. They saw a championship team. That's their standard. Went out, battered us, played us off the park. There was boys in their team that were meant to be signing for other players, not other teams, not the rest of it as well. So whoever hadn't done their homework needed shot. But comes in after the game. He's going through the boys, saying stuff to certain boys, not the rest. It comes to me, says to me, who's done him a favour, played right back, wasn't amazing. Neither was anybody. But he then comes to me and goes, "See, you need to find yourself a fucking position." It's like, what? Thought I was doing you the favour. So that was kind of left
It's
there.
sad
So.
because Mark McGee
That's
was
the truth. That's the God's honest truth.
Mark McGee was
Oh,
he was an
a
incredible
hero.
player.
Aye, a hero of his time and all the rest of it. And anybody you speak to, he was this good player and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I think he is what he is.
Yeah, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. You're on your 9th manager now, so you kind of got to think to yourself, is there a jinx in the club? Is there something that's like some sort of weird kind of shit going on? But I don't think it is. I think Stephen Glass, Scott Brown, and Alan Russell.
For me, it's just like I said at the start. It's now something to look forward to.
Definitely.
We know they're in. We know what's happening.
It's
the way
something
they're
different.
talking, it's. I think, like I said, he's maybe that used to the way Derek done things, and it's got to the stage it's time to move on. And like I said, I'm like I said, I'm happy that it's somebody that's they know Scottish football. A player like Scott Brown coming in can only help.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody with a background that Alan coming in, and you've also got, like I said, you've still got. I know you've maybe not been happy with the actual performances of the teams, but Paul Sheeran as a coach and his knowledge is brilliant. So it's him still being there. Barry Robson is a maniac in the coaching on the training ground, just standards up here. And so behind the scenes there as well are well looked after. So it's exciting times, and if the chairman's want to fling a hell of a lot of money at it and drag a few more players in, I'm pretty sure everybody on this call will be.
They're talking about Griffiths, and Griffiths isn't getting a game at Celtic, so I think it's fair that if he comes to Aberdeen, he will be playing regularly, and he's a good player. He absolutely.
They're very good.
Anybody
that speaks to him, anybody about Griffiths, he's the best finisher they've ever played with. The boys maybe a few sandwiches short, but
he's got some issues. Absolutely.
If he turns up, and the thing is, if he comes up here, it's the same with Scott coming up. Everybody knows who they are, but it's not the same big goldfish bowl that Glasgow and Edinburgh can be for them. They can come up here and kind of stay out the road. And like I said, Scott's brand new. I don't know Lee Griffiths that well. Dan played with him when he was a youngster at Dundee. He was a bit of a loose cannon back then. He used to come up with a different car every day, and then Dan found out that he never had a driving licence either.
Fuck off.
Really?
He's a bit of a shagger. He's got
we'll leave that
to 4 or 5 different women.
We'll leave it at that. We'll not expand on that. And I never said that. And
is anyone else got a question for Derek? Barry's got a question for Derek. Barry, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, Derek. So just on that, on obviously you're a coach at the club, and while you're talking about the coaching side of things, from a fan, I'm a bit confused with the current setup. So obviously Glass is in charge, Browns came in, and Russell's came in. Russell's claiming to be an assistant coach, but not an assistant. Does that mean he's assistant manager or assistant coach? And also, obviously Sheeran, Simpson, and Robson are still there as well. That sort of, and then is there a goalkeeper coach as well? Is it?
Gordon Marshall's, he's still there. Yeah, I think what's going to happen, if you think it was the manager and Tony Dock that have left. So the only other two that have come in is Stevie and Alan. So everybody will go back into where they were. So you'll have Paul Sheeran help with the reserves, or he'll be the captain. He'll be the manager of the reserves. What he used to do was he'd be the 23s or reserves, whatever the hell they call them now. They keep changing it every year. On a match day, Paul went with the first team as well. So that's why he was always there on the match day, because he would come, but during the week he was with the reserves. Barry Robson would jump between the 18s, he was the 18s manager, but he would also be helping out with the reserves as well. So he's working between the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also Scott Anderson. Scott's helps with 18s, but Scott's also Scott's the head of the under 16s team. So I work with Scott. So sometimes I'm in helping Scott with the 18s now that everybody's kind of pumped up a bit.
Yeah.
I've been running about, so that's what it'll be. I just think it's maybe the way it's been mentioned.
I just found it interesting. That
I was the same as you when I read it. I thought that's no highlighting that. That's no covering too much there.
I just wondered with the whole, obviously, Stephen Glass is at the top, but then below it just didn't seem clear. And when one of the chats with Cormac and he spoke to Fergie, and Fergie was like, "Oh, you need to promote Neil Simpson to be in charge and coaching with the first team." And I wondered was because he sort of intimated that would happen. I was like, so is he going to be up there as well? So what's going to happen?
Simmy's main role is he's head of the academy.
Aye.
So yeah, so Simmy doesn't do any coaching of that, but you can imagine how much is in Simmy's head. You know what I mean? How much stuff is inside that head that can we get? But I speak to Simmy a million times a week, and it's funny because we say the same things about what's happened in the Saturday. So now that he's in the first team and it's great for them. You can imagine.
Do you think he'll stick around in the first team and work with them a bit more?
I think it would probably be good for Stevie as well. With somebody like Sim in there. I know he's loving it. I know he's back in about it, and he's loving it, been on about it. But I don't know. We'll probably need to wait and see. I think Stevie's meant to be there back in the 13th or something. I think he's meant to start.
Has somebody given any tips yet to everybody on how to react when somebody dives against you?
Stand over them. Stand over the top of them.
Has anyone else got a question for Derek?
I've got a question.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, actually, it's not really a question. It's more of an apology. You mentioned the drinking at the club and the Beck's bar. Well, there was one occasion when I was a kid, and I had rolled out of the Beck's bar, really worse for wear, and got myself a chipper next door with my buddy, and then slightly worse for wear, I'd collapsed in the pavement next to the queue of people who were coming in, and among the people in that queue was yourself, Derek.
Is that right?
I had no idea it was you. I was that bad, and it was only my friend that told me the next morning. Do you know who was looking at us, giving us a despairing look? It was Derek Young, and I was so.
I was probably jealous I wasn't in the same state.
Yeah, well, I was so disappointed and embarrassed and upset myself. So I thought I would just apologise to you now, Derek.
Yeah.
Not before time.
I hope you've forgiven yourself.
I have now. Now that you have, I've forgiven myself.
I was going to say, it sounds like you've been holding on to that for a long time.
It has, you can imagine. He's going to be brilliant. Ken's going to be brilliant once lockdown finishes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else get any other questions? Anything at all?
I'll go again. I'll go again, if that's okay. I think another thing with the kind of current setup is it seems to be a lot of, like, I know Steve's obviously excited because he's got this job, but with Scott Brown coming in and Alan coming in as well, both of them have said about exciting times ahead. Now, whereas from an Aberdeen's point of view, fans' point of view, and Adam will like me saying this, but I very much like Derek McInnes, and I liked what he's done for the club and where he's taken us. But I almost felt sorry for him in a way towards the end, because he lost some of his better players through injury and then selling them or losing him for nothing. But especially this season where they've made a bit of money from Scott McKenna and Sam Cosgrove, then to lose those players and then not be given the money to replace them, my concern going forward is, well, if that money's obviously being used to cover the COVID costs and whatever else, is there money for, like, I'm not saying if there's money, is there, but how from someone within the club, do you have any kind of idea if these exciting times that people are talking about are going to become something, because maybe there is money to spend that Derek didn't get? Or maybe...
The way I would look at it is, and I understand your question 100%, is if you're dragging somebody across to America and giving them whatever you're giving them, and then you're managing to find money. Scott Brown will be on an absolute shed load at Celtic, as you can imagine, captain, whatever he's on. So he must be getting a good wage to come here. Alan's not going to come up and bin half his stuff to come up here for whatever.
Because you think he's probably been offered a lot of jobs. Yeah.
Yep, he has. Different clubs want him in. He's obviously with England, you know what I mean? You can imagine the money he's making at England, he probably wouldn't need to bother the rest of the week, or the rest of the... He just should be turning up the national breaks and get his money. And I do think it's the thing there. He's, like I said, with him, he's not got a massive background in actual coaching, but he's coming in as an assistant coach or whatever. And it will not take him too long. Like I said, if Simmy's in helping as well. The money situation, like I said, if you've got the money to go and do what they've done already, and coming out and, like I said, obviously I'm in at the club, but I'm the same as you. I see the YouTube videos and all the rest of it. So, and I think the same as you. I'm thinking, right, well, there must be money there to go and do stuff, because you wouldn't be saying you're going to back somebody and then everybody's standing about looking at the team sheet in pre-season and going, well, where's all these guys we were promised?
I sort of worry that if he isn't backed, that financially, then he's under the same sort of pressure as McInnes. Whereas, like, okay, well, what more if you're not getting the money to spend? Like, I know that we've got the third biggest budget, but like, I always think that budget thing's a bit of a, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a confusing stat actually, because although our budget might be bigger, we're still fighting for the same sort of average League One club players, and we're not signing anybody. You know, when a Celtic spent 9 million on an Edward, Celtic out of Rangers bought Ryan Kent for 7 million. We're you know, I don't know, we're not ever going to be able to find those types of players. But then the drop down to us, we were fighting with Hibs for Ojo. Yeah. And you know, players like we beat them for him, and McCrory as well. That's kind of players that that's our level. And regardless of our budget's more, and I think our budget just means that we're able to sign more of those average players than the likes of St Mirren and Hamilton.
And I know what you're saying, but one thing with that is that's to do with recruitment and things as well, isn't it? Yeah. That's what is the standard. What are you happy with bringing in? What do you think is going to make the difference? I think that'll be looked at as well. I don't know. Like I said, there's maybe a level that you like, for saying sake. I mean, trying to get boys out the Championship in England is probably an absolute non-starter for Aberdeen, and that's just money wise, it's just ridiculous what they're getting.
Championship's mental. The last couple of is it?
So, like I said, folk would rather just sit there and accept their wage that are maybe absolutely no chance of getting a move, but sit there and see out their 2-3 year contracts and then make a move to Aberdeen. They would rather just sit and there's a lot of it's quite rife down in England, that kind of thing that carries on. There's a lot of them that don't want to just go out and play. Yeah, I've had a big money move, but I'm not playing right. I'll go to Scotland and see how we got on there. It doesn't happen too much.
Did you ever get the chance to move to England yourself? Sorry, I missed the beginning of the call, so you might.
All right, no. I told at one point I was Coventry and somebody else were sniffing about, but nothing ever came of it. But that was the only time. I had a trial down at Blackpool once.
Were you on trial, or did you have it?
I was. What actually, what actually happened was I was down for the week. I lasted a day, and like I said, I wasn't really doing pre-season, and they were just starting. They were in their second week or something, so I hadn't actually been with anybody. And then I joined in training, done load of football stuff, fine. They started doing big long distance sprint running thing, big, and it killed me, absolutely killed me. Ended up pulling my thigh. So first day of my week's trial, but I ended up getting back down 3 weeks later once my injury was healed up, and it was a trial game, and I kind of knew a lot of the boys that were in the Blackpool team, and I ended up, like I said, there was this trial game. I drove down, stayed overnight somewhere, but drove down, went to the stadium, got on a bus, was on this bus for 2 hours to somewhere, played a game, but went into the changing room, and I'm looking about the changing room, and I'm going, I don't know any of these guys. This isn't any of the guys that I was training with. I don't know anybody here. And what that ended up was, there was 5 trialists and 5 guys who were in the bomb squad of the reserves. These guys couldn't get a game for the reserves, so they were playing this trial game. This was them keeping fit. So I can't even remember who we played against. It might have been Accrington Stanley or something like that. But as you can imagine, that trial never went well. Half the team weren't caring because they didn't want to be there. We'd sat in the bus for 2 hours. I'm running about like a headless chicken trying to get on the ball. Just a shambles from start to finish. I got up the next day, and like I said, one of my mates had actually come down with me. He'd stayed in the digs. He'd come down with me in the car. We got up the next day. I went into the club, which was 2 minutes round the corner. There was a wee training session, cool down thing, done that. The manager at the time says to me, "We'll speak to your agent, no problem." But I knew myself that I wasn't going back because it was ridiculous. It was a horrific trial. Me and my mates spent the next 3 hours at the pleasure beach. So we did. We went to the pleasure beach and went on the Pepsi Max big one. So good times.
It's not so much a question, but like this is a very un-Aberdeen fan thing to say, but I feel really optimistic about the club right now. Like I've had hope before, but hope has always been fucking like anchored in fucking expectation things would be shit. But like, I really respect what Derek McInnes did for us, and I really appreciate it. But I feel like all the changes now are about like anchoring us. Like they're about like making sure we punch our weight at minimum and that we can fucking do better. I don't want to feel.
I think that's. I think I'm with you with that one. I think it needs to be. We are third. We need to be the third. There's no doubts about it. We need to be the third. When it comes to young boys, we've got probably we've not got the money of Rangers and Celtic, but we've got academy players, youth players. I say we'll always have the best. We always have. As we'll always have better players. We've got more players playing in international games than we have in most of the time in Rangers and Celtic. So behind the scenes, academy wise, Aberdeen's always had good youth up. The youth's always been very good, and like I said, it's not just good players. It's international players that are getting brought through.
And Calvin Ramsey was really good against.
Calvin was brilliant. Calvin, I work at Hazelhead Academy up here as well during the day. It's an SFA performance school, and I had Calvin. Calvin was in the school there, but I was only in his last year, and Calvin's a machine. Calvin will do very, very well. For his well, what did they last 56 minutes or something? But in the first half, I think he flung in about 6 or 7 crosses, and we've been screaming out for that. So it's for him, it's great. For the team, it's brilliant. That's kind of the reason why Shea's been let go to go and do whatever he's going to do, because Calvin's going to hopefully, if he's not a horrifically bad injury today. It looked like cramp. I'm hoping it was cramp.
I know. I used to play with with his old man, and it's came out that it was cramp. Like,
aye, right. So that's good news because I know for a fact that they're wanting hopefully Calvin to kick on to the end of the season.
Aye.
Yeah.
Well, his old man was a good player, but he was a fucking idiot. So hopefully Calvin's got a smarter mind in him. Like,
but I was if there was anybody always asked me that there was younger players in the academy who would kick on the most. The one I would always say was Big Ryan that came on against Rangers. He came on for about 2 or 3 minutes, and Calvin. Calvin's the two of them are already built like men, and there's a few younger boys that work with my 16s there just now. But the academy's got honestly so many decent kids. It's just a case of trying to, especially now this year's been absolutely horrific for everybody trying to get. But what you've had from last year is you've had a group of under 18s boys there who went full time, but not really. They've only been in part time. They've not actually been in and done the full, proper first year apprentice, whatever you do. And then you've got the boys there that have been in for their second year, but haven't really been able to show what they're worth because there's not been games, nor the rest of it. But at the same time, there's me with probably one of the best academy under 16 teams that we've had in a long time. And I'm trying to push these wee guys, and there's 6 of them have been offered full-time contracts. So they should start realistically in the summer as well. So it's just an absolute minefield trying to work out how these kids are all going to squeeze in together and kick on and get their teams sorted. But the one thing I will say is that there's, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in the academy, it's just well known. That's one of the reasons that myself and Dan signed for Aberdeen when we did, because both of these could have went to Hearts, both of these could have signed for Rangers. But Aberdeen's always had a background of having very, very good a chance of, if you're doing well, you're going to get a chance in that first team. But I think more now, and I think it's maybe what Derek was maybe got a bad name for, was maybe not putting as many youngsters into the team. But what if you can imagine how Aberdeen, the standard Aberdeen, we'll maybe go back a couple of years, trying to get into that first team or trying to get into the squad at one point was mad. So if you're a young boy in the past couple of years, you need to come in and hit that ground running. It's maybe you'll maybe not get 3-4 chances. You need to come in, do a Calvin Ramsey. There's 45 minutes. I've swung more balls in it right back than anybody has in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's your big highlight. There's your tick. Even Jack McKenzie last week, yeah, he kind of caused the goal a wee bit when the ball's bounced and no one out. But Jack was solid last week at left back, absolutely solid. And Jack, for me, should have been in and around the team maybe a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of now if they're going to get chances, and the way the new managers or Stevie's coming in, and the way the chairman's talking, there's going to be more opportunities for them to go there and kick on. And the way the club's trying to run is build these boys up, get them up to Scotland teams and all the rest of it, and then shift them on, and then do the process again. And that comes for us down as well. We need to make sure that the boys were sticking in there. They need to hit the ground running. You can't be seen to.
Our team around 2017 was fucking phenomenal, and so you can understand why there's not like the young guys coming through as easy then, because that was such a that's the best. With all respect, Derek, sorry, the best Aberdeen team that I've ever seen. Like we're in I think it was 2017. I don't know. I've drunk quite a lot, and my memory's not that good. But around that time, that was a fucking what.
They were flying. Yep. Absolutely flying. So
we weren't squeezing wins, we were battering folk.
Yep. And that's what, like you said, that's what needs to get back to. It's no, we beat so and so 1-0, or beat so and so. We need to be going to playing teams and you're battling them off the park. You know what I mean? And then you're having a fight to try and get points off Rangers and Celtic. But I want to be back to the days, like you're saying. We want to be nailed third and battering teams at the same time, and I think that's what everybody here wants. If I'm right.
Absolutely.
So
Kevin, final question. You put your hand up. Have you got a question for Derek?
I certainly have, actually. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so basically, Derek, what do you think about of a Colt B team for Aberdeen, just like you would have thought? Celtic, Rangers as well.
I would
Promote their youth.
I would take it, yeah. If it was happening, I would take it. I don't know how it would work though with teams getting promoted for down below, but if that was a way of because it's basically taking away the having to send boys out on loan.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You can be kind of running two teams and then
the leagues are so saturated, it's unbelievable. There's a lot of clubs there that just don't deserve to be there anymore.
Yeah.
There's no fan base.
That's it. No, you're spot on. But I don't know how. Like I said, how far does it go? If the coach teams, like I said, if you've got a team of international under 18s and 21s there, let's say there's all Aberdeen are always quite good with having. So if they're in League 2, League 1, getting used to that, and they're maybe winning it for saying sake, how does that work? You know what I mean? How
it's difficult. Yeah.
Who gets promoted? Because you couldn't really promote them. It wouldn't be. I don't think it would be fair.
No, you're right. I think
to the rest of the leagues.
Spot on. I think you're spot on in a lot of respects. But I think for the good of the game in particular, I do think the stronger kind of leagues, as in the Premiership, for example, having a Colt league in the like team, for example, in the league for League One, for example, or a Championship team.
Yeah.
That it would promote youngsters a lot better than what we currently have.
I do think a lot of kids, a lot of very, very good kids, because of not just our team, maybe the old firm as well, trying to get them out to teams and getting them game time. As it can go either way. Some people go out and hit the ground running. Other kids go out, they're maybe not used to how the game's played, but if they were still, like I say, we've got Connor Barron. Connor Barron's, this is the flip side, that Connor Barron was one of our top young boys. Connor's went to Brecon. Now Brecon are the worst team in Scotland by a country mile. At the moment they are, but I'd spoke to Connor before he went, because he was actually asking me if he could speak to Dan about going to East Fife, and it would have been good for him, but Dan's got too many midfielders in there as it is. So I was speaking to him, and he'd mentioned, he says, I think I'm going to go to Brecon. I was like, all right, that's fine. I says, well, right, what you need to remember is you've had however many years here of playing with the under 16s, under 17s, now you're playing with the 18s, you're playing with the under 23s / B team, whatever you want to call it now, and 9 times out of 10 you're the best team and you're on the ball all the time, and all the movements that you've been taught through Barry Robson and Paul Sheeran and myself and Scotty, that for a hell of a lot of percent in the games at Brecon, that is going out the window. Now you're not going to get to spin into the corners and whip a ball into somebody's feet and so-and-so's going to be there and this guy's overlapping that guy, because it's not going to happen playing for Brecon. And that sounds bad, but it's the honest truth. So that side of these games maybe going to get lost. Him being very, very good on the ball and folk running off and him finding them with passes, because folk are maybe just standing staring at him just because the standard. I mean, he might be raking 30 yarders into the corner and whipping balls in behind, but the folk will be standing watching him doing it. Wherefore, if he's at Aberdeen, everybody knows that's how they play and that's how it's built into you. So what's happening to Connor now is he's learning the other side of it, is big hairy ass men are climbing all over the top of you and just smashing you. And like I said, they're not winning all the time. But I actually just seen he scored at the weekend there. I don't know if any of you know Connor and his dad or anything like that. But he chased a boy in the halfway line. He smashed the guy. He got back up, took the ball off him. He drove into the edge of the box and he smashed a shot for the corner of the box. And it's not the world's greatest shot, but it makes its way right across the corner and it ends up in the goals. So it's a part of his game that I probably haven't seen before him, actually smashing somebody and then bang, I'm away. He's a wee sitting midfielder that plays balls a bit, and don't get me wrong, he's got a wee dirty side to him as well, but I seen it and I thought that's amazing. I'm not even caring about the goal. He's chased the boy, he's nailed him, he's won it, and he's the first one back up. his team are one of the worst teams in Scotland, but he doesn't care. He's got the mentality to go, right, I'm playing here, I don't care. I'm here for me. I'm going to do everything I've tried to be taught, and he's went and done it. So I was over the moon when I seen it.
It's the thing with Aberdeen, isn't it? It's there's a lot of potential, and possibly Stephen and Scott and Alan can see that we're an untapped resource.
Yeah,
and you have played your part for a number of years now, and we really, really appreciate your time. I think we're done now. All I can say, Derek, is thank you so much for your
I have a very
time
quick
tonight.
question.
Sorry,
Callum.
apologies. One last question.
Right. Bear in mind, we've got 13 boys tomorrow, and none of us are fit to start with. And we've had 3.5 months without it, eh? Now, if you like, Adam's missus is a fucking hero and has videoed us, and like, if you ever watch any of them, like, go like, fuck me. We have like one boy, two boys attacking, two boys defending, or whatever, you know. Like, and then a lot of people
half the team's just moving like that.
Aye, a lot of people just dead in the middle, like, you know, lying down, dying. So how do we best manage that tomorrow? Like, do we just
who's playing tomorrow?
Man City. Supporters, hopefully, not the actual team. But like, yeah, do we just punt it to the corner and try and box them in?
Christmas tree formation. Show them wide. Don't let them in the middle. Keep them away from your goal. And see at the top of that Christmas tree, whoever's the sober one at the lot, he's top of the Christmas tree. You're doing all the running.
What's your formation you'd play? What's your favourite formation? One or two.
In the academy, we right through we play a 4-3-3 from under 13s upwards.
4-3-3, Callum.
But you can
4-3-3.
But you can we change. You can kind of work it out yourselves what you do with the three in the middle and guys out wide.
Are you next time you're in London? Are you up for a game?
I'm up for it 100%. I would definitely.
Good to hear.
This is the thing. This is the kind of things in lockdown when you kind of go and you have a laugh about it, and then you go, do you know what? That sounds unbelievable. That sounds like a great idea.
You get the Aberdeen strip on. You know, you get a mention in the you get the programme back at Pittodrie. They'll be like, legend.
Well, if Derek's going down for a game, I'll come down for a game.
Yeah. Listen, we've got loads of players here that want to play. So
Adam will put it up on Instagram.
That sounds like a train journey waiting to happen, Baz. What's happening here?
Yeah.
So it's like, we get down there.
Me and you, six cans.
You'll be I love a long distance train journey. Get on the cans. No worries. We wouldn't be in any fit to play, but we could support it.
Oh, he only asked me to put a strip on. He didn't say run about.
You know what? That says it 3 hours. Derek, you've
muted yourself, Adam.
You've muted yourself. There you go. There you are.
Derek, that's 3 hours you've been with us tonight. You've not only been a hero on the pitch, but you've been a hero off the pitch tonight. And again, tonight has been about sharing experiences and having the subject of mental health not being about the stigma that comes with it. It's been about people enjoying themselves, coming together, having experiences and getting on with life. It's about football fans keep kicking, whether they're on their couch or whether they're out in the grass. You've been a massive part of that tonight. All we can say is thank you very much, not only for your service at Aberdeen Football Club, which you still do today. You've been there since 1996. And here we are, 2001. You're still there. You're still very prominent. You've come full circle. You have been that youth player. You're now that youth manager. It is fantastic to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Listen, I appreciate everything, that, especially the boys. It's saying when you're having fans that stand by everybody, and everybody's got an opinion about everything, and that's why you love football.
Yeah,
I've got an opinion about everything. I stand and scream at the TV as well, and I've run about and played it. You know what I mean? And I'm screaming at guys that are playing in the Premiership and the Champions League. What have you done that for?
Yeah,
it's what you do. You're a football fan, and it doesn't leave you. So carry on doing that. And I like to say that I'm as excited as you about the new manager and everything coming in. And look, you've got support coming up for London as well. That's yourself and a pile of others there as well, which is incredible for the club. And I'm not even lying. See when I go on holiday, and I'm not the most famous person in the world by any means. Doesn't matter where I go. There's Aberdeen fans everywhere, absolutely everywhere. It's ridiculous. There's always one pops up, and it's actually became a running joke now. We've been everywhere. We went to Dubai 2 years ago, and there wasn't any Aberdeen fans. And my daughter, oh my God, we've actually got through a holiday and nobody knew who you were. I was like, so Aberdeen's huge. It is, and it always will be. And like I said, these kind of things, it gets you closer to the fans and lets them know. And like I said, it's being honest about things. There's nothing to hide. You spoke about it yourself. You got on and speak to people and got on with it. And times are hard for everybody, but like I said, Adam, you've managed to produce this again for the boys, and I'm pretty sure they're over the moon with getting a bit of free time and away for the kids and the missus.
That's it. It's
whatever crap's on. On deck.
Sharing experiences and having a laugh, and just you know what, it's about getting off the couch and not having to turn on the TV. And
so
you've been a massive part of that, and we can only thank you again for your service at Aberdeen Football Club and just being a bloody nice guy. So thanks, Derek.
Well,
really
I'll leave you with saying thanks again. Enjoyed it, and good luck tomorrow. Hope it all goes well.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks very much, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Derek.
Next time.
All the best.
Cheers.
Right, guys. I don't know if